Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. I, the Lord of Dimensions, build the gods from scratch. Chapter 1. On the morning of February 26, 2024, at 7:30. Luo Wei slowly got up from the bed, still feeling a little dizzy. He suddenly caught a cold in the past few days. He didn't take it seriously at first, but for some reason, the cold seemed to be getting more and more serious. Especially when he had a severe cold yesterday, which made him dizzy and achy all over. He almost thought he was going to die. Fortunately, after he took the medicine yesterday, his fever had subsided, and now there was nothing unusual except for his head being a little dizzy. After getting out of bed, Luo Wei walked to the bathroom. He had a high fever last night and was sweating all over. Now he was sticky. He planned to go to the bathroom to wash his face and wipe his body. However, at this moment, something unexpected happened. Luo Wei held the bathroom door handle and pushed it gently. What appeared in front of Luo Wei was not a familiar bathroom, but a magnificent bathroom. The bathroom is astonishingly large and can be described as magnificent. It is somewhat similar to a European-style large bathhouse, and it is also a very classic large bathhouse. There is also a sculpture of a goddess in the middle of the bath. The goddess held the bottle high, and a large amount of water slowly flowed out of the bottle. Because of the water vapor, the bathroom was a little hazy, but Luo Wei could still see clearly that there were two people in the bathroom. One is a red-haired woman. The other one is a woman with black hair. The two women were completely submerged in the water from the neck down, with only their two heads exposed. One of the women has a baby face, and the other woman is wearing an eye patch on her right eye. Luo Wei always felt that the appearance of these two people seemed a bit familiar, as if he had seen them somewhere. But he couldn't remember it for a while. At the same time, the two women also noticed Luo Wei. When they saw Luo Wei's appearance, they couldn't help but widen their eyes and open their mouths. Luo quickly closed the door the next second. However, he only remembered after Luo Wei closed the door. Those two women looked a bit like the two goddesses in the anime he had watched called, What's Wrong with Seeking Encounters in Dungeons? Hephaestus, the god of craftsmen, and Hestia, the goddess of the hearth. But this was wrong. The two of them were just characters in the anime. Why did they appear in front of him? What's even more terrifying is why when he opens the door, he sees a magnificent bathroom instead of his own bathroom. What went wrong with this thing? Luo Wei was puzzled. So Luo Wei opened the door again, but this time what appeared in front of him was not a magnificent bathroom. The magnificent jade stone has disappeared, replaced by a small bathhouse. There is also a woman in this bathhouse. However, this woman does not have red hair, nor does she have black hair, but has bright blonde hair. Blonde, tall and plump, she looks quite feminine and cold at first glance, but more importantly, this woman actually has abdominal muscles. Good guy. Luo Wei took a breath. He always felt that this woman looked familiar. After looking carefully for a few times, Luo Wei finally recognized it. Isn't this woman Darkness, the heroine of another anime, Blessings for a Beautiful World? Like the previous two goddesses, Darkness also noticed Luo Wei. When she saw a strange man appear in front of her, not only his beautiful face, but also his whole body turned crimson. You. Seeing that Darkness was about to run away, Luo Wei quickly closed the door. At this moment, Luo Wei vaguely understood something, but in order to verify his inner thoughts, Luo Wei decided to try again. So he held on to his previous mood and pushed open the door again. To be precise, it's the bathroom door. However, this time the scenery has changed again. It can even be said to be an earth-shaking change. Although this time what appeared in front of Luo Wei was still a bathroom. But this time the bathroom no longer looks like a classic bathroom, but a very modern bathroom with shower head and water heater. There is still a woman in the bathroom. This woman, like Darkness, has brilliant blonde hair. Her figure is the same as Darkness, very tall and plump. But she and Darkness have two completely different feelings. Luo Wei took a closer look and realized that this woman was not a foreigner but a neon person. It's the heroine Arena Nakiri in the anime Shoguki no Soi. Like the previous ones, Nakiri Arena also saw Luo Wei standing at the door, and couldn't help but let out an earth-shattering scream, scaring Luo Wei to quickly close the bathroom door. At this moment Luo Wei was finally sure. He has a golden finger, and his golden finger can connect to a new world every time he opens the door. But the question is why every time I open it, the heroine in the anime is taking a shower. Is there something wrong with his golden finger? Although Luo Wei didn't understand why, he was greatly shocked. But no matter what, Goldfinger is still Goldfinger, and now he has linked to 3 worlds. The first one is the wrong world. The second one is to offer blessings to a beautiful world. The third one is the spirit of the halberd eater. As for what world will be connected next, Luo Wei is not sure. But what he wants to do most now is not to connect to any new world, but to wash his face and wipe his body, because his body is really too sticky. So Luo Wei held the door handle and opened the door carefully, thinking about his bathroom as much as possible. Sure enough, this time Luo Wei did not connect to the new world, but saw his own bathroom firmly, which made Luo Wei let out a long breath. If he were to link to the new world again, he would really go crazy. God knows what dangerous world he would be connected to. If he was connected to some super dangerous world, wouldn't he have to be on leash every minute? After washing his face, brushing his teeth, and wiping off the sweat with a dry towel, Luo Wei walked out of the bathroom and went to the kitchen to cook himself a bowl of instant noodles, put in a piece of ham, and cooked a poached egg, which he ate deliciously. Stand up. After breakfast, Luo Wei sat on the sofa and began to think about the next thing. What's certain now is that he's got a golden finger. Moreover, the function of cheat finger is very powerful and can randomly connect to more worlds. But next, Luo Wei does not plan to connect more worlds. Because this is very dangerous. What if Luo Wei accidentally connects to a super dangerous new world, such as the world of god killers, or the world of demonic high school? Saw Luo Quilian or Rias Grimori taking a bath. Then the chances of him taking the dog are really high. In order to avoid death before he was born, Luo Wei must remain calm and calm. Therefore, before becoming stronger, Luo Wei does not plan to rashly connect to the new world. At present, Luo Wei has connected to 3 worlds. Among these 3 worlds, except for the world of the spirit of the halberd eater, the other 2 worlds can provide Luo Wei with a good channel to become stronger. Whether it is the grace of God in the wrong world, or the adventurer system that brings blessings to the beautiful world. Both worlds are enough to make Luo Wei become stronger in a short time. Only when Luo Wei becomes stronger can he connect to more new worlds. But there is currently a troublesome thing, which is that when Luo Wei connected the 2 worlds, he accidentally saw all the heroines in the 2 worlds. Well, 2 of them are goddesses. This is so wasted up. But if you think about it carefully, the goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia were submerged in water from the neck down. Except for a face, Luo Wei didn't see anything else. As long as he is more patient, more sincere, and apologizes to the 2 goddesses, he might really be able to get their forgiveness. Perhaps. Of course, Luo Wei can also go to darkness. The adventurer system of the wonderful world is also very good. If you have a relationship with darkness, you can join the adventurer guild through darkness and register as an adventurer. What's more important is that although darkness is a cross knight, she has no offensive power. No, you can't say that. Darkness actually has attack power, but the problem is that darkness can't hit anything. To be precise, even if the enemy is standing in front of her, she can't hit the enemy. In this way, Luo Wei's life can be protected. Then be more sincere and apologize to her. You should be able to become a good friend and register as an adventurer. No matter what, you should try it yourself. As for pretending that nothing happened, throwing the golden finger aside and continuing with one's life, this kind of thing has never been thought of. After finally getting the golden finger, I didn't quickly take advantage of it, but I still wanted to maintain the status quo and continue to live the life of a working class every day. Good guy, what kind of social animal thinking is this? Luo Wei would never do this anyway. Therefore, it is necessary to use your golden fingers to become stronger and live a better life. After some psychological construction, Luo Wei finally decided to find the goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia. I hope these 2 goddesses can forgive themselves. After taking a deep breath, Luo Wei came to the door of the bathroom and held the door handle. The picture of the wrong world once again appeared in his mind. Then Luo Wei pushed open the bathroom door again. What appeared in front of Luo Wei this time was no longer the magnificent and splendid bathroom, but a changing room. There are two goddesses in the changing room, the goddess Hestia and the goddess Hephaestus that Luo Wei saw before. The two goddesses were halfway through getting dressed when they suddenly saw Luo Wei standing at the door, and their expressions suddenly changed. "It's you again, who are you?" Goddess Hephaestus protected goddess Hestia behind her and looked at Luo Wei warily. Luo Wei said quickly, "Don't get me wrong, I'm not a bad person." Goddess Hephaestus was about to laugh out loud. "You guy, you not only peeped on us when we were taking a shower, but also peeped on us when we were changing clothes, and now you actually dare to say that you are not a bad person." "Yes, you are indeed not a bad person, you are just a bold voyeur." If possible, the two of them really wanted to slap Luo Wei to death. Luo Wei quickly shouted out the misunderstanding and patiently explained, "This time it is a real misunderstanding. Two goddesses, I really didn't mean to spy on you. Please give me a chance to explain. Can't you goddesses see through whether humans are lying? Now you can carefully distinguish whether I am lying. I really am not lying." Two goddesses, Goddess Hephaestus and Goddess Hestia, looked at each other. In the setting of the earthly world, the gods in the heaven were too bored, so they formed their own dependent clan in the lower world. In order to experience other people's joys, sorrows and joys, they even sealed their own divine power and turned themselves into ordinary people. So before the seal was released, the two goddesses standing in front of Luo Wei were just ordinary people. But even so, the two goddesses still maintain some characteristics of gods. One of the characteristics is that humans on earth cannot lie in front of the goddess. Wrong, it's not that you can't lie. But the lies they told could not fool the goddess at all. The gods can tell at a glance whether humans on earth are lying. Just now, Goddess Hestia and Goddess Hephaestus distinguished each other and discovered that Luo Wei actually did not lie. This surprised the two goddesses. Goddess Hephaestus said quickly, okay, I understand, please close the door first, and then you can come in after we get dressed." Luo Wei hurriedly said, "You may not be able to find me after closing the door and opening the door again. Let me put my body on my back first, and I will explain to you after you get dressed." Quote. As he spoke, Luo Wei quickly turned around. After the goddess Hephaestus and the goddess Hestia looked at each other, they hurriedly started to put on their clothes. In less than a minute, the two goddesses put on their clothes. Hephaestus said, "You can turn around now." When Luo Wei turned around, he saw the familiar outfits of the two women, as well as Hestia's particularly conspicuous blue belt. As expected of the goddess Hestia, she is really turbulent. Goddess Hephaestus noticed this, glared at Luo Wei fiercely, and then said, "Now you can explain." Luo Wei thought for a while and said, "Actually, if you come over to my side, you will understand." The two goddesses looked at each other again, wondering what Luo Wei was doing, but as goddesses, they would not easily shrink in front of an ordinary person. So the two people walked over and walked through the bathroom door to Luo Wei's living room. When they came to the living room of Luo Wei's house, they were stunned. Because according to their understanding, what they saw after leaving the changing room was not a narrow living room, but a spacious lobby. But now they came to a place they had never seen before. What exactly is this place? Goddess Hephaestus' eyes flickered and she asked softly. Luo Wei said, "This is my home, please look outside." The two goddesses saw the scene outside through the window, which was an ordinary community. Communities like this can be found everywhere in Luo Wei's world. But this kind of ordinary building is really incredible to the two goddesses, because they have never seen such a building. There is no such building in the labyrinth city Orari. This modern architecture seems simple, but it brings unimaginable impact to the two goddesses. Hestia couldn't help but ask, "What exactly is this place?" Luo Wei said, "As you can see, this is my hometown. I believe you can also see that this is not the labyrinth city Orario. Nor is it a country outside the labyrinth city. This is a brand new world that is different from heaven and earth." I don't know if it's understandable for me to say this to the two goddesses. The goddess Hestia opened her mouth in surprise when she heard this. Goddess Hephaestus suddenly smiled and said, "Don't think of us as fools. In fact, gods proposed it when we were in heaven. Maybe there are other brand new worlds in our world. However, no matter how hard the gods tried, they could not find a new world, so they gave up and finally decided to go to the human world to establish their own dependent clan. I didn't expect that you did something that even the gods couldn't do, but you did it. How did you do it? Luo Wei said honestly. Actually, I don't know much about it, but I did have this ability all of a sudden. Every time I open the door I connect to a new world. I'm connected to 3 worlds so far. But I know that some worlds are too dangerous, and you can easily die if you connect rashly, so after thinking about it again, I decided to ask for help from the 2 goddesses. I hope you can bestow upon me the grace of God and allow me to master powerful power. Then I will be able to travel to other worlds. Goddess Hephaestus said, I understand your thoughts, but don't underestimate this God's favor. Even if I give you God's favor, you will not become stronger immediately. Luo Wei naturally knew this. I know, Goddess Hephaestus. In fact, among the 3 worlds I link to, except one is an ordinary world, the other one is also a different world. This world has a unique adventurer system, which can make ordinary people become stronger quickly. In a sense, it will never be inferior to God's favor. So if the 2 goddesses are willing, I can take the 2 goddesses to this new world. Let the 2 goddesses experience this unique adventurer system for themselves. Quote, maybe the 2 goddesses can integrate God's favor in the adventurer system. Then not only will I benefit, but the 2 girls' families will also benefit from this. Hephaestus was quite moved when she heard what the goddess said. She could confirm that Luo Wei had indeed not lied to her, and everything he said was true. Because of this, her heart was moved and her interest was aroused. A brand new world, a brand new adventurer system. This is too tempting for the gods. The reason why she went down to the lower world in the first place was because the heaven was too boring. Therefore, he entered the human world to establish a family, seal the divine power, and experience the joys, sorrows, and joys of the human world. Now that she had the chance to see a whole new world, she certainly wouldn't miss it. I want to go too. In addition to the goddess Hephaestus, the goddess Hestia is also very excited. A whole new world. Then can she find her own children and establish her own family in this new world? Luo Wei smiled slightly when he saw the 2 goddesses' hearts beating, and then asked the 2 goddesses if they needed to prepare anything. The 2 goddesses smiled slightly, then shook their heads and said in unison, no need. They are goddesses. If they travel to a whole new world, they can unlock the seal and restore their status as goddesses. No matter what danger they encounter, they can deal with it calmly without having to worry about safety. Naturally, there is no need to make any preparations. You can go anytime and anywhere. Seeing this, Luo Wei closed the bathroom door, and then pushed it open again. This time, what he was thinking about in his mind was no longer the wrong world, but darkness. The result was very smooth. Luo Wei once again connected to the world of blessings for a better world. What appeared in front of Luo Wei was no longer a small bathroom, but an ordinary room. There was also a blonde beauty in the room. It was darkness. But at this time, darkness was fully armed and put on a suit of armor, looking heroic. It's you. After seeing Luo Wei, darkness pulled out her sword without hesitation and struck Luo Wei on the head. But Luo Wei did not dodge, because he knew that darkness's skills could not hit anyone. This is indeed the case. Although darkness looked menacing, the sword actually hit Luo Wei's shoulder and hit the ground. Goddess Hephaestus saw darkness being so excited and vaguely realized something. She whispered to Luo Wei, you couldn't have peeped at others, right? Luo Wei smiled bitterly. He really didn't mean it. Goddess Hestia also realized this and looked at Luo Wei with obvious disgust and contempt. Luo Wei's bitter smile became even worse. He really didn't mean it. God knows why this golden finger became like this. Now he couldn't even wash himself off after jumping into the yellow river. At the same time, darkness, whose sword failed, swung the sword in her hand again and slashed at Luo Wei. Goddess Hestia was about to stop her, but was stopped by Goddess Hephaestus. Although she has not yet unlocked her divine power and is still an ordinary person, the divine vision is still there. Goddess Hephaestus looked at darkness's point of force and the angle of swinging the sword, and it seemed that the opponent had no intention of hitting anyone. So she stopped her god friend Hestia and stood aside to watch the show. Darkness wields her sword like a dragon and her momentum is like a rainbow, and every attack looks menacing. But if you look closely, you will find that none of these attacks hit Luo Wei. Her attacks either hit the door frame or fell to the ground. After a menacing attack, Luo Wei stood motionless, completely unscathed. On the contrary, Darkness was panting from exhaustion. Goddess Hephaestus saw this scene and wanted to ask, did you do it on purpose or accidentally? Even the goddess Hestia thought this was outrageous. She could tell that Darkness really wanted to hit Luo Wei. But she really couldn't hit it. Good guy, this woman must be under some strange curse. Hestia couldn't help but think so, but judging from her eyes, Darkness was not cursed at all. So she didn't understand why Darkness couldn't hit anyone. If Luo Wei knew Hestia's inner doubts, he would definitely say that this is all a setup. Have you calmed down, Darkness? Luo Wei said softly. Darkness was stunned for a moment. Do you know me? Luo Wei nodded. Not only do I know you, I've been paying attention to you. Maybe you don't know me, but I know about you. You are Darkness, an adventurer from the novice adventure town Axel, a very powerful cross knight. It's a pity that all your strength is reflected in your defense. Your attacks can't hit anyone at all. In addition, you are not only an adventurer, but also a noble of this country. Darkness is just your pseudonym. Your real name is Lurati. Stop, 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 stop. Darkness covered Luo Wei's mouth before Luo Wei could finish speaking, preventing Luo Wei from continuing. As she continued talking, her real name was revealed. Who are you? You couldn't be brought here by my father, right? Darkness was very suspicious. Luo Wei was brought here by her father to take her back. Don't worry, I have nothing to do with your father. Luo Wei said firmly. Really? Darkness was dubious. Don't worry, it's absolutely true. It couldn't be truer. I have nothing to do with your father. I don't know him at all. Luo Wei swore that he really didn't know Darkness' father. Darkness was still worried and asked, who are you? Luo Wei smiled and said, let me introduce myself. My name is Luo Wei. I am a countryman who has just arrived in Axel. I want to be an adventurer in Axel. These two are my companions, Hephaestus and Hestia. Hephaestus stepped forward and said hello to Darkness. Hello. Darkness quickly put away her sword and also said hello to Hephaestus. She glanced at Hestia and Hephaestus and couldn't help but ask, you two are also here to register as adventurers? Hephaestus nodded. Darkness did not refuse, but instead said to Luo Wei and the others, come with me. Luo Wei looked at each other with Hephaestus and Hestia, entered Darkness' room, and closed the door. Darkness was very curious, aren't you going to register as an adventurer? Why is the door closed? Luo Wei said, I have a special situation here, please open the door. Darkness didn't quite understand. She always felt that these people were weird, but her intuition told her that these people had no ill intentions towards her. Darkness didn't take this little problem to heart and opened the door. Behind the door is not Luo Wei's home, but a corridor. This means that Luo Wei has left his own world and truly entered a different world that offers blessings for a better world. This made Luo Wei quite excited. Good guy, I finally came to a real different world. The great adventure is finally here. Then, under the leadership of Darkness, the three of Luo Wei finally arrived at Axel's Adventurers Guild. However, on the way to the Adventurers Guild, Luo Wei was trembling with excitement because of the scene unfolding in front of him, because what appeared in front of him was not the familiar or even boring high-rise buildings in the past. Instead, it is made up of row upon row of red brick houses, similar to the street scene in medieval Europe. There are no cars or motorcycles on the road, and there are no telephone poles or radio towers. In addition to humans, there are elves and orcs on the road. This made Luo Wei realize that he had really arrived in a real different world. As for the two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia, they were not as excited as Luo Wei, because the world they were in was a genuine other world. In addition to humans, there are orcs, elves, small humans and even dwarves. Such races can be found everywhere in their world. So in the eyes of the two goddesses, Axel is just a remote country town, and there is nothing special about it. Then a group of people finally arrived at the Adventurers Guild. There was a rather large building in front of me, and the aroma of food wafted from inside. After a group of people walked in. Welcome, if you need a job introduction, please come to the counter inside. If you want to eat, please take a seat at an empty seat. A waitress with short red hair greeted them cordially. The slightly dark interior seems to double as a bar. Groups of people wearing armor could be seen gathering together everywhere, but there seemed to be no one with malicious intentions. However, it seems that new faces are still rare, and everyone's attention is focused on Luo Wei. Luo Wei actually knew very well why everyone was paying attention to them. The reason was actually because of the two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia. After all, the two goddesses are real gods. To put it bluntly, they are super beautiful girls. Therefore, seeing the arrival of two super beautiful girls, everyone naturally focused their attention on them. As for Luo Wei, he was subconsciously ignored by everyone. There is no way, why is Luo Wei not as attractive as the two goddesses? Fortunately, Luo Wei doesn't mind this. Led by darkness, a group of people came to the counter. There are 4 counter staff, 2 of whom are female. Luo Wei naturally walked to the counter of the more beautiful of the 2 female staff and queued up. Hephaestus and Hestia saw Luo Wei's plan at a glance and looked at Luo Wei with contempt. But Luo Wei doesn't care about this. Hello, what's going on today? The lady at the counter is a gentle-looking beauty, with wavy hair and big breasts that give her the air of a mature woman. If Luo Wei remembers correctly, this person is the poster girl of the Axel Adventurer Guild. Luna. Luna is a mature woman who looks very gentle. Because she is the most beautiful among the reception staff of the guild, if any man tries to get close to her, he will be openly hostile. However, as a saleswoman, Luna has a small problem, that is, she is not very straightforward when paying for tasks, and she always grabs the bonus and refuses to let go. In addition, the daily work pressure is very high. I have to collect intelligence, assign tasks, and deal with the aftermath of various mischievous adventurers. I often work for 3 months without taking a vacation. In addition, even though her colleagues in other cities were getting married one after another, she was still in the situation of being a leftover woman, which caused her to accumulate a lot of negative emotions. She is very concerned about being unable to get married, and will even mercilessly impose extremely difficult tasks on adventurers who ask about her wedding date. Other than that, Luna is fine. Darkness said to Luna, the 3 of them are here to register as adventurers. Luna suddenly understood after hearing this, and said in a familiar manner, that's it, then those who log in as adventurers need to pay a login fee, is that okay? Luo Wei naturally turned his attention to Darkness without hesitation after hearing this. Just kidding, none of the 3 of them are from this world, how could they have the currency of this world, so the only thing the 3 of them can rely on now is Darkness. Seeing all 3 people turning their attention to her, Darkness couldn't help but sigh and took out the money and handed it to Luna. By the way, Aris is the unit of currency in this world, and it is also the name of a certain goddess in this world. After paying the money, the counter girl Luna handed a card to Luo Wei and the other 3. It was about the size of a driver's license and looked like an ID card or something. Please look here, is there an item called level? As you 2 know, all kinds of things in this world have souls hidden in their bodies. No matter what kind of existence it is, as long as it eats or kills a living thing, that is, if it terminates a certain life activity, it can absorb part of the memory of the soul of that existence. That is what is commonly called experience value. Generally speaking, these experience values are not something that can be seen with the naked eye. But, the lady at the counter pointed to a part of the card and said, as long as you hold this card, the experience points absorbed by the adventurer will be displayed on it. At the same time, the corresponding levels will also be displayed. This is the standard for adventurers, strength and weakness. How many targets have been conquered will also be recorded here. With the accumulation of experience points, various creatures will suddenly grow rapidly one day. This is the so-called crossing the high wall of leveling up. In short, as long as you level up, you can get various benefits, such as gaining points that can learn new skills, etc., so please be sure to work hard to level up. Oh. According to Luo Wei, this thing is very easy to understand, just like playing video games. But in the eyes of the 2 goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia, this thing is very strange, and even wonderful. As expected of the adventurer system, it is really interesting. At the same time, the counter girl Luna continued. First of all, please fill in the height, weight, age, physical characteristics and other items on this document. It's also worth mentioning that neither Luo Wei nor the others knew the writing of this world, so Darkness had to help with filling out the form. Darkness couldn't help complaining about this. Where did you come from? Luo Wei said with a smile. You will know about this later, but thank you for your help, we will definitely repay you. Hephaestus and Hestia both nodded. The two of them will naturally return the favor they owe. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing for the gods. After the registration was completed, the counter lady Luna said, okay, that's it. Then, please touch this card. In this way, we can know the parameters of your abilities, and then you can choose the profession you want based on the values. After accumulating experience, you can learn different special skills according to the profession you choose, which is also one of the criteria when choosing a profession. Luo Wei touched the card with a nervous mood and a little expectation. Okay, thank you. You are Mr. Luo Wei, right? Let me see. Muscle strength, vitality, magic power, flexibility, agility. Each item is very ordinary, except for slightly higher intelligence. Luck is very high. However, for adventurers, luck is not a very necessary value. This is a headache. According to such parameters, the only profession you can choose is the most basic adventurer. Since the value of luck is so high, I suggest you give up being an adventurer and be a businessman or something like that. What do you decide to do? To be honest, Luo Wei is not surprised at all. After all, he is just an ordinary person. Isn't it normal to have such parameters? As for the high luck, it may be because Luo Wei got the golden finger. If he was not lucky, he probably wouldn't have gotten this strange golden finger. Therefore, Luo Wei had a good idea of what his parameters were like. So Luo Wei decisively chose the adventurer. The counter lady Luna also comforted him. No, it's okay. After the level is raised, the parameters can be changed. Moreover, the adventurer profession, as the general term adventurer indicates, can be said to integrate all professions. Yes, although it is an initial profession, it does not mean that it is worse. After all, adventurers can learn and use the skills of all professions. Luo Wei did not take this comfort to heart. He had read the plot after all, and of course knew that adventurers could learn the skills of all professions. However, a large number of points are required to learn skills, and there is no professional bonus, so even if the same skills are used, they are still not as good as regular professions. It can be said that they are good at everything and poor at everything. However, even so, Luo Wei is still very optimistic about adventurers. Apart from other things, the characteristic of learning all professional skills is very amazing. Even if Luo Wei's physical fitness is far superior to that of ordinary people, he can choose other professions. But after comprehensive consideration, Luo Wei will still choose adventurers. Because this feature is so good. It is very suitable for people who travel in other worlds, because they are not fixed in the same world. Then the two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia also touched the cards respectively. When the counter lady Luna saw the values of the two people, she couldn't help but screamed, What? What's the matter with this value? Why are all your parameters far beyond the average value? Hestia raised her chin proudly. They are goddesses. Isn't it normal to have such values? In this regard, Hephaestus humbly said that she was just a wild girl from the countryside. However, not many people are willing to believe this, because no matter their temperament or dress, they don't look like wild girls from the countryside. Luna said on the side, the two of you can choose from your values, whether it is a great magician, a crusader who is proud of the strongest defense, a swordsman who is proud of the strongest attack, or a high priest, the superior profession of a priest, etc. I don't know what profession you want to change to. After some thought, the two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia finally chose to change careers as great magicians. They really want to know the difference between the great magicians in this world and the magicians in their world. After the two people changed jobs, adventurers from the Adventurers Guild swarmed in, rushing to touch the two women before they were alive, and enthusiastically inviting the two women to join the team. After all, this is a rare great magician. Although the adventurers were very enthusiastic, the two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia declined everyone's invitations. They came to this world not to upgrade and fight monsters and become adventurers, but to experience the difference between adventurers' upgrade system and their divine favor. Therefore, it is impossible for them to join other people's teams. Finally, after some discussion, Luo Wei, Hephaestus and Hestia formed a team and invited Darkness to join their team. Hey, invite me. Darkness was a little surprised. Although she is a cross knight, she has been rejected by various adventure groups because she cannot hit the enemy. So far, she is still alone. Even though Luo Wei knew she had such flaws, he was still willing to invite her to form a team. This really surprised Darkness. Luo Wei nodded and said, "Look, one of us is an adventurer, and two of us are great magicians. We are both fragile. Now we still need a knight to be our shield. I wonder if you are willing to join, Miss Darkness. What about us?" Shield, 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 shield. Darkness seemed to realize something and couldn't help but grab Luo Wei's hands and said decisively, "Please let me join you, treat me as a shield that can be discarded, and use me to your heart's content." Luo Wei knew what Darkness was thinking as soon as he saw Darkness's eyes and expression. However, Luo Wei did not correct Darkness's thinking, because he invited Darkness to join the team and really wanted to use Darkness as a shield. However, he had no intention of abandoning the other party. After forming a team of adventurers, Luo Wei and his group were ready to accept a mission. After some consideration, Luo Wei decided to take on an ordinary mission, to defeat toads. That's right, it's the giant toad that Sato Kazuma and Aqua defeated in the plot. This thing is a must for novice adventurers, but all registered adventurers have basically conquered these giant toads. After accepting the mission, Luo Wei and his group came to the broad plain outside the town. At first Hestia was very puzzled by the behavior of attacking toads, because in her opinion, there was nothing good about toads. However, when he saw these toads, he realized that he was too naive. Hey, where did this toad come from? It's too big. Yes, in this other world, giant toads have huge bodies that are bigger than cows. Once they enter the breeding season, they want to replenish their strength in order to lay eggs. Therefore, they appear in human settlements with more food and devour the food raised by farmers. Goat. Since a goat can be swallowed in one gulp, it is not a problem to swallow a human in one gulp. So Hestia became a little uneasy when she saw the giant toad. If she unleashes her divine power, even the entire axle can be blown up in one go, let alone a tiny giant toad. But the problem is that now she is just an ordinary person who has sealed divine power. Although she changed her profession and became a great magician, she has not learned many skills. Dealing with a giant toad was still a bit unsettling. On the contrary, Hephaestus looked confident. In her opinion, dealing with a giant toad was simply a matter of pinching and capturing it. However, Luo Wei did not intend to let Hephaestus take action. He glanced at Darkness and said, "Darkness, hand over the sword to me." Darkness was a little curious, but still handed the knight sword to Luo Wei. Luo Wei pointed at the giant toad and said, "You go up and attract his attention first, and I will deal with this toad from behind." The reason why he asked Darkness for the knight's sword was because Luo Wei had no money to buy weapons now and could only use Darkness's weapons. As for Darkness, she couldn't hit anyone anyway, so she didn't need a weapon at all. Might as well leave it to Luo Wei. Darkness was not angry after Luo Wei took away her weapon. When she heard Luo Wei let himself use his bare hands to attract the giant toad's attention, her whole face turned red with excitement. Hestia thought Darkness was angry and was about to lecture Luo Wei when Darkness suddenly roared and rushed towards the giant toad. Hestia looked confused. On the contrary, Hephaestus seemed to see something and looked at Luo Wei with strange eyes. Luo Wei nodded silently and said, "Yes, Darkness is indeed a slut besides not being able to hit the enemy." Hephaestus and Hestia fell silent. They don't know why, but they suddenly feel that their hearts are so complicated. What happened to the children from another world, and why did they become like this? On the other hand, Darkness, who rushed towards the giant toad with bare hands, was swallowed directly into the mouth of the giant toad, with only 2 legs exposed. The reason why Darkness fell into this fate was not because she was not strong enough. In addition to the fact that she could not hit the enemy, more importantly, the thick fat of the giant toad could withstand strikes. So after losing her weapon, Darkness is indeed no match for the giant toad. Fortunately, the giant toad moved slowly. After devouring Darkness, it stood motionless. I plan to digest Darkness silently. Of course Luo Wei didn't allow this to happen, so when the giant toad was digesting, he went around behind the giant toad and launched a fatal attack on the giant toad. The giant toad's thick fat can effectively defend against strikes, but it particularly hates iron weapons, especially bows and arrows or knight swords. Luo Wei walked around behind the giant toad and swung his knight sword, easily cutting open the giant toad's body. He then killed the giant toad on the spot and rescued Darkness from being swallowed. But at this time, Darkness's entire body was covered with the saliva of the giant toad, and her whole body exuded a disgusting stench. But instead of vomiting, Darkness felt an unprecedented excitement. Ah, this kind of play. This feeling of being covered in saliva all over. Looking at Darkness, whose face was red and twisting repeatedly on the ground like a moth, Luo Wei couldn't help but let out a long breath. As expected of you, it didn't take long for Darkness to cheer up and charge at another giant toad again. When he was swallowed by the giant toad again, Luo Wei went around behind the giant toad and dealt a crazy output to the giant toad. So with the tacit cooperation of the two people, a total of 5 giant toads were defeated. Then Luo Wei was upgraded. On the other hand, after the efforts of Luo Wei and Darkness, Hephaestus and Hestia were not idle either. They also killed many toads, gained a lot of experience, and leveled up. After personally experiencing all the changes after the upgrade, Hephaestus and Hestia finally had a clearer and deeper understanding of the adventurer system. There is no doubt that this is 2 completely different concepts from their divine favor. But it is undeniable that the adventurer upgrade system is very excellent. Its subtlety is even greater than the grace of God. At least God's favor doesn't have so many career divisions. The adventurer system has many professional divisions such as Great Magician, Cross Knight, High Priest, Adventurer, Warrior, Knight, etc. This means that the establishment of the adventurer system is more complex and powerful than God's favor. After realizing this, Hephaestus and Hestia clearly discovered that it was impossible to integrate the adventurer upgrade system into God's favor. At least 2 people can never do this. Unless other gods are allowed to join in, only by gathering the wisdom of the gods can the 2 systems be integrated. After the crusade against the giant toad was over, while Darkness went to the public bath to wash off her dirt, they revealed the idea to Luo Wei, but were decisively rejected by Luo Wei. No, you can't do this, you can't do this. Why? Hestia was very confused and didn't understand why Luo Wei was so resistant. Luo Wei said, I forgot to tell you before, this different world actually has gods, and it is not just one god, but a huge system. Under this system, there are many gods. And the gods are in charge of many worlds. To put it simply, it is a divine system that controls a lot of worlds. There are at least dozens, or even hundreds, of human worlds similar to your world. You can imagine how terrifying this divine system is. Quote, once the 2 conflict, I suspect you may be completely defeated by this huge god system. Of course it is possible to win, but the chance is very small. In short, I advise you not to reveal this matter to other gods. After all, there are too many fun gods in Labyrinth City Orari. God knows what incredible things they will do because of these brand new worlds. What's more important is that I don't want to be exposed to the sight of other gods. After hearing Luo Wei's concerns, Hephaestus and Hestia nodded in agreement. In fact, they also know very well that most of the gods in the Labyrinth City Orari are gods of fun. Gods entered the human world from heaven to have fun. If they were allowed to know that there is such an interesting world and such an interesting system outside the human world, something will definitely be done. God knows what terrible things these gods will do. So the 2 people finally decided not to make the matter public for the time being. But in this case, integrating the adventurer system and God's favor is not something that can be done in a short while. Luo Wei reminded with a smile, there is no need to completely integrate the 2 systems. You can integrate part of the adventurer system with God's favor. For example, the soul system. The reason why adventurers in this world can level up is because after they defeat monsters, the monster's soul will enter the adventurer's body as part of the experience value, and then allow the adventurer to level up. You can completely incorporate this system into the favor of God. If I remember correctly, adventurers who have received God's favor can become stronger through training during the adventure. If you want to improve your agility, you must train your agility, and if you want to improve your strength, you must train your strength. Then accumulate enough great deeds to upgrade. If you integrate the soul system into God's favor, at that time, your family members can train themselves in adventures, and they can also absorb the souls left by monsters to strengthen and upgrade. Destroy monsters once and gain twice, it's a win-win situation. After Hephaestus and Hestia heard Luo Wei's words, their eyes widened, and they felt that Luo Wei was right. Instead of wasting time and effort to fully integrate the two huge systems together, it is better to take some of the advantages and integrate them into God's favor to make your own God's favor stronger. So the two goddesses began to study and began to think about how to integrate the soul system into their own God's favor and upgrade it. Likewise, this is not something that can be done in a day or two, it may take some time. Not long after, darkness finally washed away the stains on her body, put on clean clothes, and followed Luo Wei and his group to the Adventurers Guild. Axel's Adventurers Guild, in addition to being a gathering place for adventurers, also has a large bar where the monsters that the adventurers have defeated can be purchased, and delicious monster dishes have become a big selling point. Today Luo Wei and his group killed a lot of giant toads and sold the toad meat to the guild in exchange for a lot of pocket money. It's such a huge toad that just a few people can't move it. However, as long as you entrust someone from the guild, they will provide transportation services and transport away the monsters Luo Wei defeated. The purchase price of a toad, after deducting the cost of the moving service, is about 5,000. After the Adventurers Guild recovers these giant toads, they will make them into delicacies and sell them to adventurers. When watching the plot, Luo Wei knew that the toad's meat was more delicious. However, when Luo Wei tasted it for himself, he was still shocked, because the deliciousness of this giant toad was far beyond imagination. At least Luo Wei has never eaten such wonderful food. The two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia also spoke highly of the giant toad. Although the two women also come from a different world with monsters, the monsters in the dungeon will turn into fly ash and drop magic crystals after death, leaving no flesh and blood at all. So even the two goddesses have never tasted the flesh and blood of these monsters. This time it was an exception. I didn't expect this toad to be so refreshing. So everyone started eating and drinking to celebrate today's adventure. After the banquet, everyone left the Adventurers Guild. Darkness asked proactively, "You have just arrived where Axel has not settled yet. Do you want to live with me?" Hephaestus and Hestia looked at each other and shook their heads no. Luo Wei declined politely. In fact, several people had a place to stay. Then the three of them separated at a fork in the road. Darkness returned to her temporary residence. Hephaestus and Hestia looked at Luo Wei, intending to let Luo Wei send them back to the labyrinth city Orari. Luo Wei naturally would not refuse, but his ability needed a door to be used. Without a door, Luo Wei had no way to send the two women back. So the murder returned to the Adventurers Guild. When Luo Wei pushed open the door of the Adventurers Guild, what was in his mind was not the Adventurers Guild, but the labyrinth city Orario. So the moment he opened the door, what appeared in front of Luo Wei was not the inside of the Adventurers Guild. It was a room I had never seen before. Hephaestus took a look and said, "This is my bedroom. I didn't expect your ability to be connected to my bedroom." Luo Wei said, "I'm not sure. I was thinking about the labyrinth city Orario at the time. I didn't expect it to be connected to your bedroom. Could it be because you are by my side that I can connect to yours bedroom?" Hephaestus remained silent, seeming to consider the possibility of such a thing. "Okay, don't think about it, I'm leaving. See you tomorrow." After Luo Wei said goodbye to Hephaestus, he turned and left her room. Back at his home, Luo Wei took a hot bath and lay in bed, still too excited to sleep at night. Today's experience was really amazing. Not only did I enter a different world, but I also became an adventurer. He has never enjoyed such a magical life. So I lay on the bed tossing and turning and couldn't sleep. But soon, the tiredness accumulated throughout the day swarmed over him, and Luo Wei slowly closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. On the second day, Luo Wei got up from bed very early, washed his face, had breakfast and then opened the bedroom door. The first stop was the wrong world, where he was going to find Hestia and Hephaestus. However, when Luo Wei opened the door, the scene behind the door was clearly Hephaestus's bedroom. At this time, Hephaestus had just woken up, still holding her pipa. half hiding her face, and her beautiful body was half hidden in front of Luo Wei. Boy, is this something I can watch. Luo Wei subconsciously wanted to turn around. But for some reason, his eyes were attracted to Hephaestus, and he couldn't look away from her for a long time. There's nothing I can do about it, it's natural for a goddess to have such attraction. At the same time, Hephaestus also noticed Luo Wei's arrival and quickly shouted, "It's not closed yet." While speaking, he picked up the pillow at hand and threw it towards Luo Wei. Luo Wei quickly closed the door. After about 5 minutes, Luo Wei opened the door again. At this time, Hephaestus was already dressed and standing on the ground. When she saw Luo Wei walking in, she couldn't help but give Luo Wei a roll of her eyes. "Let me tell you, why does this happen every time you come here? Did you do it on purpose?" Luo Wei couldn't laugh or cry. "I didn't know you were planning to get up. It was all accidental. It was accidental. I definitely didn't mean it." "Then you were careless." "No, you have to believe me, Goddess Hephaestus, I really didn't mean to peek at you." Luo Wei swore quickly. Hephaestus realized that Luo Wei was not lying, but she couldn't help but roll her eyes at Luo Wei. "Next time you dare to look like that again, be careful, I'll dig out your eyes." Luo Wei smiled and said nothing, but he knew that Hephaestus would never do this. The two then went to find Hestia. In the process, Luo Wei learned one thing, that is, the plot of Dikuo world has not yet begun. Because Hestia was still in Hephaestus's family at this time and was not kicked out by Hephaestus. When the plot of Dikuo begins, Hestia has been kicked out of her own family by Hephaestus. So it should still be some time before the plot starts. When the two found Hestia, Hestia had already gotten up and was washing up. After washing up, the three of them gathered together. Luo Wei opened the door and headed to the beautiful world. As soon as she opened the door, she saw Darkness getting dressed. "Yeah," Darkness screamed, her face turning red instantly. Sorry. Luo Wei quickly closed the door. About 5 minutes later, Luo Wei opened the door again, this time, and saw Darkness, who was fully armed. Darkness couldn't help complaining when she saw Luo Wei and the others. Why do you come here by such a coincidence every time? If this continues, I will definitely not be able to get married." Luo Wei smiled and said, "It's okay. If you really can't get married, I will marry you." When Darkness heard this, her face suddenly turned red. You. She didn't know what to say for a moment, and her tone became tight. Hephaestus felt that she had accidentally eaten a mouthful of dog food, and rolled her eyes at the two of them angrily. Okay, let's go." Hestia nodded and walked into Darkness' bedroom. Luo Wei also went in and closed the door. "Why did you come in again?" Darkness was very puzzled. Shouldn't everyone go out to the Adventurers Guild together? "Okay, don't worry about this little thing." After Hephaestus opened the door, a group of people headed to the Adventurers Guild. After entering the Adventurers Guild, Luo Wei and the others came to the task bar and started selecting tasks. Luo Wei originally wanted to accept yesterday's mission to defeat the giant toad, but this mission was rejected by Hephaestus and Hestia. Luo Wei didn't say anything, but this disappointed Darkness. After discussing it for a while, the two gods finally decided to accept the task of conquering the griffin. Luo Wei couldn't help but was stunned for a moment, but he didn't refuse, even though the griffin was a high-level monster and its strength was very terrifying. But Luo Wei has two gods around him, and he is not worried about his safety. When several people went to the counter to find the counter lady Luna to receive the task, Luna couldn't help being surprised. "Is this mission too difficult? Do you want to change it to another mission? After all, everyone knows how terrifying griffins are. Although there are two great magicians and a cross knight in Luo Wei's team. But Darkness's ineffectiveness is well known. Moreover, the two great magicians, Hephaestus and Hestia, had just changed jobs yesterday. There is no doubt about their potential and they are definitely the top volunteers. But they still need time to grow. If they go to attack the griffins now, the possibility of the entire army being annihilated is really too high. Therefore, for the sake of the safety of the two of them, the counter girl Luna very much hopes that they can give up this task and choose a task that suits their level. However, under the insistence of Hephaestus and Hestia, Miss Luna still gave them the task of conquering the griffin. So everyone set out to head towards the valley where the griffins were. Darkness is the leader of this team. Because no one in this team is more familiar with this terrain than Darkness. After traveling for more than an hour, everyone finally arrived at the place where the griffin was. Luo Wei paused for a moment, turned to Hephaestus and said, "You should have unlocked your divine power." If Hephaestus had not unlocked her divine power, it would be impossible for their team to defeat the griffins, and they would even be completely destroyed by the griffins. But if Hephaestus unlocks her divine power and regains her identity as a god, the little griffin will be able to catch her. Hephaestus smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry, I'm here to make sure you're fine." Luo Wei felt relieved. Hoo ho ho. Suddenly, a strong wind blew. It turned out that while a few people were talking, a griffin fell from the sky. Darkness reacted immediately and rushed towards the griffin with her bare hands. The reason she did it with bare hands was naturally because she had already handed the cross sword to Luo Wei before attacking the griffin. So currently Darkness can only face the griffin with her bare hands. But it's a pity that Darkness without a knight's sword is no match for the griffin. Although Luo Wei felt that even Darkness with the knight's sword might not be able to defeat the griffin. After all, she was notoriously unable to hit the enemy. Fortunately, although Darkness could not hit the enemy, her body was not generally strong. Even after rushing forward, she was knocked away by the griffin and rolled several meters away on the ground. It just became disgraced. There is no injury at all. Because she is so hard. After getting up from the ground, Darkness blushed and rushed towards the griffin. Now she probably regards herself as a hero who protects the team, carrying out the justice in her heart while enduring the attacks and abuses from the griffins. The whole person is already very high. Seeing this, Luo Wei couldn't help but complain, "It has to be you." If this were any normal person, he would have been beaten by a griffin and would be unable to get up. Then Luo Wei glanced at Hephaestus and Hestia again. The griffin was far more terrifying than he imagined. Whether it's the huge body or the mighty wings, as well as the strong winds that can be created by flapping the wings. All these without exception prove the griffin's terror. With Luo Wei's current strength and physical fitness, let alone killing the griffin, he couldn't even get close to the griffin. The griffin was simply too powerful and was not a target that an adventurer of his level could defeat. Fortunately, there are two goddesses beside him. Hephaestus raised her finger, and a ray of light was released from the tip of her finger. This ray of light was like a laser, cutting open the wings of the griffin. The griffin suddenly fell from the sky and fell to the ground with a thud. It looked as embarrassed as it could be. It was gray, and could no longer see the majesty it had before. Luo Wei then rushed forward, swung the knight's sword in his hand and slashed at the griffin. What he has to do now is to kill the griffin. The griffin that lost its wings no longer had its previous majesty. But it's not something an adventurer of Luo Wei's level can offend. Just when Luo Wei was madly attacking the griffin held back the pain, raised its paw and patted Luo Wei lightly. With just a bang, Luo Wei was knocked out and fell heavily to the ground after flying more than 10 meters away. Luo Wei couldn't help but scream. There was nothing he could do, it hurt too much. At this moment Luo Wei felt like his bones were broken. After all, the griffin is a tall monster, and even a slight blow is not something an adventurer of Luo Wei's level can withstand. If Luo Wei hadn't been upgraded yesterday and his physical fitness had improved a lot, the griffin's blow just now could have killed Luo Wei for the rest of his life. Fortunately, there are two gods beside Luo Wei. Seeing that Luo Wei was injured, Hestia quickly used a trace of divine power to treat Luo Wei. For gods, even gods who are not good at healing can use their divine power to help humans heal wounds quickly. Divine power can be called a panacea. With Hestia's help, Luo Wei stood up in just 10 seconds. The whole person became lively again. At the same time, Hephaestus stretched out a finger again, and saw a ray of light piercing the griffin's claws. The griffin couldn't help but let out a hysterical whine. After several rounds of blows, it was seriously injured. This was the perfect time to take advantage of his illness and kill him. But Luo Wei found that his legs were standing motionless. At this moment, Luo Wei understood something. He was afraid. Just now, the griffin slapped him away with its claws, causing Luo Wei a serious psychological shadow. Even though the griffin is no longer alive, it has become meat on the chopping board, ready to be slaughtered. But Luo Wei was afraid. He stopped, not daring to go up and give the griffin the final fatal blow. Because he was afraid of getting hurt again. Hephaestus and Hestia both saw Luo Wei's problem, but did not say anything. They are waiting for Luo Wei's choice. At the same time, darkness suddenly came over and pushed Luo Wei in the back. Go, darkness said softly. It was precisely because of this voice that suddenly brought an inexplicable warmth to Luo Wei. Luo Wei's body seemed to be filled with courage. When he came back to his senses, he had already taken steps to walk in front of the griffin. At this time, the griffin had been destroyed by Hephaestus and could no longer stop Luo Wei, so Luo Wei raised the knight's sword high. Swinging it hard, the sword cut off the griffin's head. Blood splattered in an instant. The shadow and fear in Luo Wei's heart suddenly disappeared with this sword and ceased to exist. At this moment, Luo Wei realized that he seemed to have become a real adventurer. At least with the help of his companions, he overcame his inner fear and took a crucial step. What awaits Luo Wei next may not be a smooth road, but if there are partners around, Luo Wei will not be afraid. Luo Wei gained a lot of experience points after killing the griffin, and he leveled up. At the same time, Luo Wei also accumulated enough skill points to learn the knight's passive defense skills from darkness. The reason why darkness's body is so tough is due to these defensive skills. In the original plot, darkness's skill points were basically focused on defensive skills. She once claimed that her body was harder than stone, and her vitality and defense were the highest among Kazuma and his group. During the Battle of the Royal City, he charged into the Demon King's surprise army with magic, attracting a large amount of firepower, and his defensive power shocked even the knights of the kingdom. At the same time, because he is a cross knight, his resistance to holy magic is very high. So when he was possessed by Barnier, even Aqua's divine exorcism couldn't directly destroy him. It is also the only humanoid creature that has survived Megumin's explosive magic, and it has not even died from Barnier's murderous ray. Now that Luo Wei has accumulated a lot of skill points, what he wants to learn most is not the attack skills, but the knight's defensive skills. Because in Luo Wei's view, only when you are alive can you output, and when you are alive, you are the winner. Therefore, it is urgent to learn the defensive skills of knights. Offering blessings to a better world. Learning skills in this world is very simple. As long as someone is willing to teach it, Luo Wei can spend skill points to quickly learn this skill. The whole process shouldn't take more than a minute. Naturally, darkness would not skimp on the defense skills of a mere knight. Therefore, Luo Wei spent a lot of skill points and learned the knight's defensive skills in an instant. This skill is one of the knight's passive skills. The body with this ability will become as hard as steel. After Luo Wei learned this skill, the effect can be said to be immediate, and his body underwent a huge transformation in an instant. He felt his body become harder than ever. At least twice, or even 3 times, what was said before. Of course, because Luo Wei is an adventurer, his defense power is simply incomparable to darkness's defense power. There is a world of difference between the two sides. But even so, Luo Wei still felt that his body had become terrifying and hard. If he was shot away by the griffin again this time, Luo Wei would never be as embarrassed as before, and even his bones would be broken. The two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia were also amazed at this. They did not expect that it would be so easy to learn skills in this world. This made them realize the excellence of the adventurer system and made them determined to integrate the adventurer upgrade system with their own divine favor. Only in this way can their families catch up with other families in a short time. After the small interlude, everyone continued to attack other griffins. In this valley, there are more than just one living griffin in front of you. After a whole morning of struggle, after everyone defeated the 3 griffins, today's battle finally ended. Then Luo Wei and his party returned to the Adventurers Guild. As for the body of the griffin, naturally, staff from the Adventurers Guild took over. In contrast, Luo Wei's team also received a lot of rewards. This scene naturally caused a sensation in the entire Adventurers Guild. After all, except for Darkness, a useless cross knight, all the other adventurers in Luo Wei's team had just registered yesterday. But today they can defeat high-level monsters like griffins. This made everyone present aware of the rise of a new and unfathomable team of adventurers. If nothing goes wrong, this team of adventurers will get out of the novice zone of Axel in a short time, and eventually head to the country's capital to become advanced adventurers. If Luo Wei knew their thoughts, he would definitely laugh at their naivety. Because Luo Wei and the others are not pure adventurers at all. Luo Wei is not so much an adventurer as a traveler traveling in various worlds. Becoming an adventurer is just a means for him to become, not an end. As for Hephaestus and Hestia, the two are even more goddesses. And they are goddesses from another world, so they cannot stay in this world for a long time. On the contrary, Darkness is the native noble of this world. Only she can stay in this world for a long time and slowly grow into a high-level adventurer. But Doninis is still too far away from this point now. After enjoying a delicious lunch, everyone did not continue to receive tasks to defeat monsters. Instead, after receiving the reward for defeating the griffin, he wandered around the novice town of Axel. However, it is worth mentioning that when Luo Wei was receiving his reward, the counter girl Luna showed behavior that was quite consistent with her personality. There was a smile on her face, and she was holding on to the reward given to Luo Wei in her hand, unwilling to let go. Luo Wei had to move Luna's fingers away with one finger before he got his reward. In a sense, this can be considered a cute point of Ms. Luna. Although Axel is a novice adventure town, it is small but well equipped with everything it needs. Hephaestus was most interested in Axel's blacksmith shop. She wanted to see the difference between the weapons in this world and the weapons in the labyrinth city Orario. So everyone went to the blacksmith shop. After entering the blacksmith shop, they were greeted by a burly man. According to Darkness, this was the owner of the blacksmith shop and the person who forged weapons in the blacksmith shop. However, the weapons here disappointed Hephaestus. Of course she could see with her eyes that all the weapons in the blacksmith shop were ordinary weapons. Nothing special to speak of. Children in her family could easily forge such a weapon. Luo Wei was not surprised by this. After all, Axel is just a novice adventure town. It's already very good to be able to create such weapons and armor with the boss's technology. Luo Wei naturally does not expect the shop owner to build very sophisticated weapons. If the boss had such skills, he would not stay in a novice town like Axel. He had already gone to the royal capital to make a lot of money. However, at this moment, Luo Wei suddenly thought of a store, maybe the things inside could open Hephaestus's eyes. So they left the blacksmith shop. Luo Wei asked Darkness, "Do you know Wiz's shop?" Darkness couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Of course she knew where Wiz's shop was. After all, Wiz's shop was very famous in Axel because it contained some weird props. Chapter 11. Are you sure you want to go to Wiz's shop? Darkness asked. Luo Wei nodded. Darkness couldn't help but complain. Sometimes I really don't understand. You are obviously an adventurer who has just come to Axel. Why do you even know about Wiz's shop in such a remote place? Luo Wei said with a smile, I will tell you later. So, led by Darkness, everyone headed to Wiz's shop. When Luo Wei opened the door, the bell hanging on the door made a clear sound, informing the shop owner that a customer had come in. Ah, welcome. A broad-minded woman stepped forward to greet Luo Wei's group of people. This woman has long brown hair. She looks like a beautiful woman in her 20s, with a curvy figure and very plump breasts. Maybe not as good as Hestia, but not far behind. This woman is none other than Wiz, a retired adventurer and the store manager of Wiz's item shop. Hephaestus and Hestia were a little surprised when they saw Wiz. With their eyesight, they could naturally tell that Wiz was not human. His whole body was filled with death energy, and he was a real lich. However, out of trust in Luo Wei, the two goddesses said nothing. Guests, I wonder what you want to buy. Wiz didn't know that his true identity had been seen through, and he warmly entertained Luo Wei and the others. Luo Wei didn't get close to Wiz right away. Instead, he pretended to be an ordinary customer and wandered around Wiz's store. At this moment, Hestia picked up the thing at hand, which was a small potion bottle. Ah, that one will explode if you give it a strong impact, so please be careful. Ah, it's true. Hestia quickly put the bottle back. Then, she picked up the bottle next to her. Ah, that one will explode as soon as you open it. Hestia gently put the bottle back, then picked up the bottle next to it. What about this? It explodes when it hits water. Quote. Where is this? It will explode when heated. This store only sells explosives, right? Hestia couldn't help complaining. No. It's just that the shelves on that shelf happen to be full of explosive series. Hephaestus couldn't help but complain. Don't you have some more normal props? Wiz quickly said that there were, and then introduced several products to Hephaestus that she thought were relatively normal. But in fact, these products are basically not normal. For example, curse props, or other things that look powerful but are actually useless. Hephaestus couldn't help but exclaimed, "Can these things really be sold?" Wiz staggered back a few steps as if he had been punched hard, and then said, "Of course dang can be sold. But in fact everyone can see that she is being tough. After all, in Hephaestus's opinion, these props were really useless, and it was natural that they could not be sold." Seeing this, Luo Wei quickly took 2 steps forward and said, "Miss Weiss, right?" Wiz nodded. Luo Wei said, "I can see that you seem to be very distressed. Is it because the store often runs a deficit?" Wiz quickly turned his head to the side and said harshly, "It's okay, my store has always been running very well." She really didn't want to expose her poor management skills to outsiders, especially people she met for the first time. It's just too embarrassing. But her crimson face gave her away. Luo Wei said with a smile, "Don't be nervous, Miss Weiss, I have some very practical products here that you can sell at very good prices. As long as you sell these products of mine, you can quickly turn around your business and turn losses into losses. For profit." Wiz was stunned for a moment, then looked at Luo Wei with bright eyes. Really? Of course it's true. To prove his statement, Luo Wei said, "Just wait a moment, I'll be back soon." Then he pushed open the door of Wiz's shop and returned to his home through the door of the shop. He took some things from his home and returned to Wiz's shop through the bedroom door. Then Luo Wei showed what he got in front of Wiz. A thermos cup, a lighter, clothes hangers, double-sided tape, soap, washing powder, shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrush, and towels. Although these things may not look inconspicuous, they are indeed modern craft products. To some extent it can be said to be very practical. If sold, Luo Wei believes that it will definitely become popular throughout Axel. Whether they are adventurers or ordinary residents of Axel, they cannot live without these things. To put it bluntly, with these things, Wiz's shop can quickly turn a profit. When Luo Wei told Wiz about the usefulness of these goods, Wiz quickly realized the convenience of these goods. Although she often uses strange props, she still has common sense as an ordinary person. "Can you really leave these things to me?" Wiz was excited, always feeling like he had encountered a good thing that fell from the sky. "Of course, no problem," Luo Wei said cheerfully. "I can provide you with these things in large quantities. I will have as much as you want. We can split the money from the sale, 50 to 50, what do you think?" Hearing this, Wiz shook his head and waved his hands and said, "It's not suitable, it's really not suitable. I'm just contributing a little bit, and these products are all provided by you. So I think we should split it 20/80ths, I'll split it 20/80ths with you." Quote. But even so, Wiz still felt that he had taken too much, so he changed his mind and said, No, it should be 91%. Luo Wei smiled and said, "I'm not a vampire. Although I provide these things, you are the one responsible for selling them. So you should take some. I think that's it. Why don't you split at 30/70ths and I'll split at 70/70ths? You three." Wiz still wanted to refuse, but Luo Wei didn't give him this chance. "Okay, that's it. By the way, I have one more thing here," Luo Wei said. "You don't need to give me the money for selling the goods. I hope you can buy some experience potions for me. This is Luo Wei's purpose. Offering blessings in a beautiful world. In this world, in addition to defeating monsters and upgrading, adventurers have another way, which is to drink experience potions. I don't know who made this thing, but it's very convenient. Drink the experience potion to gain a large amount of experience points and level up. But this thing is very expensive, so expensive that even Wiz doesn't have much money to buy it. Therefore, Luo Wei decided to cooperate with Wiz. He could continuously sell modern handicrafts to Wiz. Then use Wiz to earn a lot of money and then turn it into experience potions. In this way, Luo Wei can grow quickly. And after establishing a good relationship with Wiz, there will be more benefits. Although he has no business acumen, he is very simple and has a gentle and weak personality. He has been doing business at a loss and has been running a deficit all year round. But in the adventurer period, Wiz was the captain of a famous adventurer team that was offered a high bounty by the Demon King's army. His teammates were Sword Master Brad and High Priest Rosalie. At that time, Wiz had a fiery personality, hated demons as much as he hated them, and loved being more serious. He was known as the martial arts sect and the Ice Witch. But something happened later that caused Wiz's personality to change dramatically. He retired improperly and became a lich. But also because he is a lich, Wiz has strong magic defense and can neutralize all attacks except magic weapons. Just touching the opponent can cause various abnormal conditions, and it can also use the lich's unique skill Life Absorption, which can absorb the target's life and magic, and can also distribute its own physical strength and magic to the target. In addition, Wiz is the Grand Mage and is very powerful as a magician. During the adventurer period, he was able to use various advanced magics, from basic magics such as freezing to cursed thunder, cursed ice crystal, sword of light, bottomless swamp, etc. After becoming a lich, he learned explosion magic, so he is the same as Megaman. Can also use explosion magic. Luo Wei remembered that in the future, the explosive magic released with bare hands when fighting against the mobile fortress would be more powerful than Wei Wei with the bonus of a wand. Later, Wiz, who was really serious about it, used the advanced ice magic Curse Crystal Prison, which instantly froze the right hand and lower body of Hans, who was also a cadre of the Demon King's army. Finally, he used all his magic power to enlarge the body that was blown up by Megaman. Han's body was frozen to prevent contamination from the poison. In addition, Wiz can also teleport magic. The teleport points opened include Axel, Royal Capital, Dungeon, and Acanridia. At the same time, it will be teleported randomly, but I don't know whether it will be teleported to a densely populated place or an uninhabited place. Therefore, in Luo Wei's opinion, it is necessary to have a good relationship with Wiz. In the future, I might be able to learn many special magics from Wiz, such as teleportation magic. Because of this, Luo Wei spends all his energy to build a good relationship with Wiz. After coming out of Wiz's shop, Hephaestus couldn't help but exclaimed in wonder, "My eyes are opened, my eyes are opened, this time my eyes are really opened." She didn't expect that Wiz's shop would have such weird props. Although none of these props are normal. But Hephaestus didn't care about the function of the props themselves, but the method of making them. As a god of craftsmen, Hephaestus can easily observe the process and craftsmanship of making these props by simply touching them without sealing his divine power. Therefore, Hephaestus mastered a lot of craftsmanship in making props when she touched them. If she teaches the craftsmanship of these props to the children of her family, then the craftsmanship of the children in her family will inevitably undergo earth-shaking changes. By then, the Hephaestus Familia will definitely be the best in the Labyrinth City Orario. It can even completely leave other craftsmen families behind. On the other hand, Ron was also very satisfied with this visit, because he not only met the Lich Wiz, he even reached an agreement with Wiz. If nothing else happens, Luo Wei will definitely be able to take off quickly in the future. That night, after Luo Wei sent darkness away, he sent Hephaestus and Hestia back to the earth. Wait a moment. Just when Luo Wei was about to turn around and leave, Hephaestus suddenly stopped Luo Wei. Luo Wei stopped and asked, "Is there anything else?" "Goddess Hephaestus." Hephaestus said, "If I remember correctly, did you say that you had communicated with 3 worlds? One is my world, and the other is darkness's world. So what is the last world? What kind of world?" Luo Wei said, "The other world is a very ordinary modern event, similar to my world, without any supernatural power." "But nothing?" Hestia asked curiously. "But there is a group of very powerful cooks in that world. Their cooking skills are very good. They may be even better than the chefs at the famous Orario Hotel in Labyrinth City." Hestia's eyes lit up when she heard this. "You must know that she is the kitchen god. A world where all chefs are very good, wouldn't that be her paradise?" So Hestia grabbed Luo Wei's hand and said, "Luo Wei, I want to go to that world and see it. Do you want to take me to that world?" Luo Wei said, "It's okay, but I need to prepare some things." "What?" Hestia asked. I apologize. Luo Wei spoke concisely and to the point. The two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia understood immediately. You couldn't be more certain that you've seen a girl naked again, right? Luo Wei said with a wry smile. I don't want to, but my golden finger is really out of my control. God knows why every time I connect to the new world, there will be a group of girls taking a shower. Hestia laughed, lightly touched Luo Wei with her elbow, covered her mouth and said, although I say that, you must be very happy, right? Luo Wei knew very well that he could not lie in front of the two goddesses. Even if he lied, the two goddesses would see through. So I simply acquiesced. Pervert. Hestia knocked Luo Wei hard. Hephaestus saw Luo Wei being disturbed, so he spoke to save the situation. In the end, the two gods decided to go to the world of the halberd eater spirit tomorrow. Afterwards, Luo Wei returned to his home, but as soon as he got home, he found that there were many missed calls on his mobile phone. After taking a look, I realized that all these calls were from my immediate boss. Luo Wei then remembered that he seemed to have not resigned yet. It's just that I was too excited after getting the golden finger and forgot about this. So he quickly picked up his cell phone and called back. Manager, After the call was connected, Luo Wei just spoke. Before he could say a complete sentence, the manager's curse came from over there. Luo Wei, you've been working for a few days now, why aren't you allowed to go to work? Do you want to do it anymore? If you don't want to do it, get out of here. I have plenty of people who can take your place. Luo Wei's face couldn't help but froze. He originally wanted to say a few nice words, apologize again, and go to the company to process his resignation tomorrow. After all, unexcused absence from work is his problem. However, the manager's words made Luo Wei unable to help but feel angry. I'm not going to do it anymore. You can do whatever you like. After saying this, Luo Wei hung up the phone decisively. After firing his boss, Luo Wei sat on the sofa angrily. It took him a while to sort out his mood. After taking a hot bath, he lay on the bed and fell asleep deeply. The next morning, Luo Wei went downstairs and bought a few steamed buns and cups of soy milk, then returned to his home and opened the bedroom door to go to Dikuo World. As a result, as soon as he opened the door, he saw Hephaestus, who was about to get up. Hephaestus looked at Luo Wei speechlessly. Did you do it on purpose or accidentally? Or did you do it on purpose and accidentally? Luo Wei didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and then closed the door. After a few minutes, he opened the door and walked in. He handed the steamed bun in his hand to Hephaestus and asked, would you like some? Like Hephaestus white Luo Wei, he took the steamed bun and asked, what is this? The specialty of my hometown, xiaolongbao, tastes pretty good. Do you want to try it? Hephaestus picked up a small steamed bun and threw it into her mouth and started chewing. Luo Wei asked, how is it? Generally, Hephaestus said. As a god, Hephaestus had eaten many delicacies when she was in heaven, so in her opinion, food like xiaolongbao was really ordinary. But she added, if you open a xiaolongbao shop in Orly, it will definitely become popular throughout the labyrinth city. Luo Wei couldn't help but laugh. There is no doubt that this is the highest praise for xiaolongbao. After eating xiaolongbao, the two found Hestia again, and then headed to the wonderful world to find Darkness. Darkness also spoke highly of the breakfast brought by Luo Wei. After several people had eaten, they headed to the Adventurers Guild. On the way, Darkness asked what monster they were going to defeat today. Luo Wei said, we are not going to fight monsters today, we are going to a special place today. Where? Darkness asked curiously. Luo Wei smiled and said, a place you can never imagine. Then several people came to the Adventurers Guild to buy some special food, or ingredients. For example, the meat of a griffin, or the meat of a giant toad. Taking the meat, Luo Wei opened the door of the Adventurers Guild again, but when he opened the door of the Adventurers Guild, what Luo Wei imagined in his mind was the world of the halberd eater spirit. Therefore, Luo Wei successfully communicated with the world of Shiji spirit, and behind the door was a spacious modern bedroom. There was a large bed in the center of the bedroom, and beside the bed was a blonde beauty who was changing clothes. This beauty is none other than Nakiri Arena. Good guy, Luo Wei is now desperate for his golden finger. This golden finger of his is either handing out welfare or on the way to handing out welfare. Nakiri Arena thought she was dazzled when she saw Luo Wei last time, but this time when she saw Luo Wei again, she realized that it was not dazzled last time. What she didn't expect was that there would be more people watching her. Last time there was only Luo Wei, but now there are 3 more people. Fortunately all 3 are women. But even so, Nakiri Arena couldn't help but let out a scream. Although Darkness didn't quite understand why, after Luo Wei pushed open the door of the Adventurers Guild, what appeared in front of her was not the wide road outside the guild, but a room she had never seen before. But she still covered Luo Wei's eyes immediately. As a righteous cross knight, she would never allow peeping to happen in front of her. Although she has been seen by Luo Wei several times. Calm down. Hephaestus raised her hand and pointed at Nakiri Arena. Nakiri Arena suddenly felt an invisible force stopping her mouth. She couldn't make a sound. This made Nakiri Arena even more frightened, and she looked at Luo Wei's group of people with unspeakable fear. But then Hephaestus released the restraint on Nakiri Arena. Calm down. We're not bad people. Nakiri Arena quickly took a few steps back to distance herself from Luo Wei's group, and then asked cautiously, "Who are you?" Hephaestus said, "You put your clothes on first, and then we will communicate." Nakiri Arena calmed down and quickly put on her clothes. In the process of getting dressed, she found that Luo Wei's group of people behaved well and did not stop her, which made her couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and her nervous mood gradually calmed down. At the same time, Darkness also let go of Luo Wei's eyes. She asked curiously, "Where is this place and what is going on?" In fact, Darkness was also confused. She didn't understand that Luo Wei just pushed open the door of the Adventurers Guild. Why did they come to such a strange place? And who is this blonde beauty in front of me? Why does he feel that this scene seems familiar? Luo Wei said with a smile, "While everyone is here, I will explain your doubts. First, let me introduce you. My name is Luo Wei, a traveler who can travel around the world." Darkness, aren't you curious? Why didn't Axel even recognize the words in your world after we arrived? That's because we are not from your world at all, so we really don't know the words of your world. That's why we need your help when registering as adventurers. Not from our world. Darkness was shocked. She fell in love with Hephaestus and Hestia. The 2 goddesses nodded at the same time. At this time, Nakiri Arena calmed down. After hearing Luo Wei's words, she couldn't help but said, "Chunabu." Of course it's not Chunabu. Luo Wei categorically denied. "I know your brain is a little confused now, so let me take you to a different world first, and then you will know." Rather than explaining it here, let Nakiri Arena know what seeing is believing. Then Luo Wei closed the door to Nakiri Arena's bedroom and pushed it open again. But this time it is not connected to the beautiful world, but to the wrong world. Nakiri Arena was surprised to find that after her bedroom door was opened, what she saw was not the hall of her home, but a bedroom she had never seen before. This bedroom is of course Hephaestus's bedroom. "Come in." Hephaestus returned to her bedroom and waved to everyone. Luo Wei took Darkness and walked in, followed by Hestia. Everyone stood on the other side of the door and looked at Nakiri Arena, who was standing there hesitating. "Don't you want to come over? This is a great opportunity for you to see a different world." Luo Wei believes that as a modern person, no one is unwilling to witness the existence of another world with his own eyes. Sure enough, after hearing what Luo Wei said, Nakiri Arena stomped up and followed her. If what Luo Wei said is true, then this is indeed a great opportunity for her to see a different world. If she misses this opportunity, she may never forgive herself for the rest of her life. After Arena Nakiri entered Hephaestus' bedroom, Luo Wei closed the door. Then he motioned for Hephaestus to open the door. Hephaestus smiled slightly and opened the door. What appeared in front of them was no longer Nakiri Arena's bedroom, but a wide corridor. This is Hephaestus's family. Under the leadership of Hephaestus, the group left the Familia and stepped into the streets outside the Hephaestus Familia. Then they saw a bustling, bright, lively, medieval-style street. The streets are full of adventurers coming and going. Some of these adventurers are holding swords, some are wearing armor, some are holding staffs, some are humans, some are elves, some are dwarves, and some are orcs. They are all scenery and life that cannot be seen in modern society. Nakiri Arena couldn't help but open her mouth in surprise, and stammered, This is really a different world. On the contrary, Darkness was not as surprised as she expected. Because there is not much difference between Dikuo's world and his world. It's all a different world of swords and magic. Races such as elves, dwarves, and orcs can also be seen in her world. Therefore, the shock that the labyrinth city Orario brought to Darkness was not as great as expected. Instead, it made Darkness feel as if she had come to another country from Axel. There is no feeling of entering another world. The only person who was truly surprised was Nakiri Arena. Walking on the endlessly flowing streets, Arena looked at the elves or warriors wearing armor, holding weapons, and magic wands, and fully realized that she had really arrived in a different world. It turns out that what Luo Wei said before was true. After a while, Arena Nakiri calmed down. This time Hephaestus became the host and took everyone to an open-air cafe. While drinking coffee, they explained to everyone the world they were in and the maze city Orario they were in. As Hephaestus explained, both Darkness and Arena Nakiri opened their mouths in surprise. Because they never thought that the person sitting in front of them was not an ordinary person from another world, but a genuine goddess from another world. This undoubtedly brought a very strong and shocking impact to the two of them. Darkness never expected that the member of her team would actually be a real goddess. So she couldn't help but fall in love with Luo Wei. Luo Wei understood Darkness's thoughts, spread his hands and said, "Don't look at me, I'm not a god, I'm just an ordinary human being." On the other hand, Nakiri Arena opened her mouth in surprise when she heard the names Hephaestus and Hestia. After all, Greek mythology is widely circulated in the modern world, and the names of Hephaestus, the god of craftsmen, and Hestia, the god of kitchen stoves, are also familiar to him. But Hestia is a girl, so she can understand. But in Greek mythology, Hephaestus is an ugly male god. However, the Hephaestus standing in front of him now was a beautiful goddess. This difference is too big. Luo Wei saw Arena's expression and knew what he was thinking. So he couldn't help but remind, "Don't forget that this is a different world. Isn't it natural for the world to change like this?" Nakiri Arena opened her mouth, smiled bitterly, and accepted this setting. After all, Hephaestus was already standing in front of him, so she couldn't help but not believe it. However, after accepting this setting, Nakiri Arena's eyes gradually became warm when she looked at Hestia. You must know that Hestia is the famous kitchen god. So she grabbed Hestia's hands and said loudly, "Please let me join your family and learn cooking skills from you, God Hestia." Hestia felt happy, and then laughed awkwardly. She said softly, "Of course there is no problem in becoming my dependent. I also like children like you very much, but there are some problems in learning cooking skills from me." Hestia paused at this point. Nakiri Arena didn't know why. She tilted her head and looked at Hestia, looking very cute. Hephaestus stood aside and said, "Although my friend is the goddess of stoves and families, she is actually the goddess of holy fire. She is not good at cooking." Nakiri Kairina's expression couldn't help but froze. To be honest, this situation was something she never expected. Hestia, the goddess of the hearth and home, did not know how to cook. "Who can I talk to explain this?" Hestia said with a mournful face. "No one stipulates that the god of kitchen must be good at cooking. The person who really knows how to cook is not the god of kitchen, but the god of cooking or the god of food. I am just a humble goddess of sacred fire." At the end of the sentence, Hestia was in suspense and on the verge of tears. When Nakiri Arena saw this scene, her heart ached, and she quickly comforted Hestia. Hestia looked at Arena carefully and asked, "Now that you know I don't know how to cook, are you still willing to choose me as your god?" If possible, Nakiri Arena would prefer to choose the god of cookery or the god of cooking as her god, but the problem is that when she saw Hes almost making him cry, she couldn't bear to refuse in the end. "I do." Hephaestus watched the whole process. After Arena Nakiri agreed, she clapped her hands and said, "Congratulations, friend of the gods, you finally have your own family members." Hestia wiped the tears that were about to fall from the corners of her eyes and said excitedly to Hephaestus, "Thank you, thank you." She is really happy now that she finally has a child willing to join the family she formed. Now Hestia couldn't wait to catch Nakiri Arena and give her god's favor immediately. However, Hephaestus stopped him. "Don't be anxious now," Hephaestus said. "It won't be too late to apply God's favor to Arena when we integrate the adventurer system and God's favor. Adventurer system. Nakiri Arena was a little confused. Luo Wei explained on the side. The Adventurer system is an upgrade system unique to Darkness World. Then he explained the Adventurer upgrade system to Nakiri Arena. After listening to this, Nakiri Arena couldn't help but complain. Isn't this just a game? Luo Wei nodded and said, yes, this is indeed very similar to a game, but this is a different world. Nakiri Arena couldn't help but ask Hestia, have you integrated the two systems now? Hestia shook her head. Hephaestus sighed and said, the Adventurer system is a brand new upgrade system. Although we have changed jobs and become adventurers, we know too little about this system. It will take some time to bring the two systems together. Nakiri Arena nodded with some disappointment. On the contrary, when Luo Wei heard Hephaestus say that he knew too little about the Adventurer system, an idea suddenly came to his mind. Hephaestus knew too little about the Adventurer system, so he could find someone who understood the Adventurer system. No, it's God. So Luo Wei couldn't help but turn to look at Darkness and asked, Darkness, I remember you have a friend named Chris, right? Can you introduce him to me? Darkness was a little surprised. How do you know I have a friend named Chris? Luo Wei said, just like I can travel through the world, there are some things I do know. I will tell you when I get a chance. Darkness nodded and said, what are you looking for Chris for? Luo Wei asked her to do a favor. Hephaestus couldn't help but ask, who is this Chris? Luo Wei said, Chris is actually the goddess of the world of darkness. This sentence not only surprised Hephaestus, even Darkness was very surprised. Chris is actually a god, how is this possible? She couldn't help but exclaimed. Luo Wei said with a smile, nothing is impossible. If I remember correctly, Darkness, you should be a believer of the goddess Eris. Darkness nodded. In fact, not only him, but their whole family were followers of the goddess Eris. Luo Wei continued. When you were a child, you couldn't find friends because of your status, so you often went to the statue of the goddess Eris to confide that you had no friends. Because your family is a devout believer of the goddess Eris. So after the goddess Eris heard what you said, she secretly came down from heaven and pretended to be Chris and became your friend. This is a very gentle god. Darkness, please cherish your friend. Darkness couldn't help but shed tears when she heard these words. She didn't expect that the goddess Eris would actually become friends with her in the lower world after hearing her confession. If what Luo Wei said is true, this is indeed a gentle god, which makes Darkness worship the goddess Eris even more. Even Hephaestus and Hestia couldn't help but marvel after hearing this. Darkness, you do have a good friend. Darkness nodded. Luo Wei said, if we can convince Chris and let her help us, maybe we can speed up the integration of the systems of the two worlds. Hephaestus and Hestia did not object, because they already know what kind of person Chris is from Luo Wei's mouth. No one would refuse such a gentle goddess. So everyone decided to go to Axel tomorrow to find Chris for help. They also believe that a gentle goddess like Chris should help them. As for today, Hephaestus and Hestia will serve as hosts, leading Luo Wei, Darkness, and Arena Nakiri to have a good tour of the labyrinth city Orari. Neither Luo Wei nor Darkness nor Nakiri Arena had any objections to this. Luo Wei had only seen Labyrinth City Orario on TV or in comics before. My knowledge of this city is limited to written knowledge. However, when he really entered these cities, he realized that this city was far wider and more prosperous than he imagined. There are simply endless numbers of adventurers coming to this city. The streets can be said to be connected in all directions. Beautiful girls abound. Orario is said to be a huge city built on an underground labyrinth. The city is surrounded by strong and huge walls. There are many taller buildings on the periphery, and the buildings closer to the center or lower. The Tower of Babel stands in the center. The interior of the city consists of 8 areas divided by main streets radiating from the center in 8 directions. With the manager, guild, as the center, they live a life in which all races, including humans, prosper. The city where the dungeon is located, where the gods gather. Here, various races live together. With the blessings of many gods, they join different families, make friends, and engage in adventure, trade, entertainment, battles, etc. The deeper into the city, the more Luo Wei was amazed. It is indeed a labyrinth city, far more prosperous and even dazzling than I imagined. No wonder countless gods come here to establish dependent families. Of course, this city is not all good. It is a place of adventure that countless people dream of, and it is also a nightmare place where countless people's dreams are shattered. Countless people come here every day with dreams. Countless people leave here every day with despair and reluctance. By the way, there are really many gods here. When a group of people from Luowei were wandering around under the leadership of the two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia, they would often see the gods strutting around. Most gods would greet Hephaestus happily when they saw them. There are even some gods who sell street stalls. For example, Mahe, the god of the Mahe family, is the god of medicine in Celtic mythology. He runs a small azure medicine shop that sells recovery items used by adventurers. However, it was once a powerful family, and was a competitor of the Diankit family who also dealt in medicine. However, there was an adventurer named Naza Elise under his command. Unfortunately, he lost his right arm while adventuring in the dungeon. From then on, he developed a fear of monsters and could not continue to be an adventurer. In the end, this god found his rival, Diankit Familia, and installed the prosthetic limb developed by Diankit Familia on Naza. This keeps Naja's arms intact. However, in order to pay for Naja's prosthetic limbs, a large amount of debt was owed. As a result, all the family members other than Naja left the group, and the group has since declined sharply. Therefore, in order to pay off the debt, this god Mahe had to go out to work and set up a small stall on the street. Darkness and Arena Nakiri immediately sympathized with the boy after learning what happened to Mihogogami. This also gave the two of them a better understanding of the gods. It turns out that not all gods are aloof, there are also some gentle and down-to-earth gods. By the way, the medicines sold by the Tianqing pharmacy of the Mahe clan are very good. Luo Wei decided to buy some for emergencies. If Luo Wei remembers correctly, there is actually a very special medicine in the Dikuo world. It's called a panacea. The therapeutic effect of this thing is very good, whether it is internal or external injuries, it can be easily cured. There are no shortcomings except the inability to regenerate limbs. Although the price is a bit expensive, Luo Wei can ask Hephaestus for money. After all, the Hephaestus family is one of the largest business families in the labyrinth city Orario. The weapons sold by their clan occupy half of Orario. Very rich. Although Luo Wei has no money, he has a future. He can communicate with many worlds and find many incredible products. When the time comes, he can sell these products to Hephaestus to pay off his debt. So Hephaestus was not worried at all that Luo Wei had no money. If Luo Wei dared to ask for it, she would dare to give it to him. So Luo Wei successfully purchased a lot of panacea. Unknowingly, everyone arrived at the center of the labyrinth city Orario. Tower of Babel. The huge white tower that looks like clouds occupies the entire field of vision of Orario. No matter which direction you look in Orario, you can clearly see the Tower of Babel in the city center. The presence of the Tower of Babel is so powerful. This is where the gods live and hold meetings. A large number of gods hold gatherings here every month. And underneath this giant white tower is the entrance to the underground city. Now that Luo Wei and his group have arrived here, they are naturally eager to go in and experience the specialties of Labyrinth City Orario. Although the panacea can be called a specialty of Labyrinth City Orario in a sense. But when it comes to this kind of specialty, it is undoubtedly the underground city. Because the entire Labyrinth City is built around this underground city. When Luo Wei and Darkness saw the dungeon, they were eager to go in and see the scenery of the dungeon. Neither Hephaestus nor Hestia objected to this. Go if you want, we will wait for you outside. Hephaestus smiled heartily, but don't make us wait too long. Hestia nodded aside. So, Luo Wei and Darkness stepped forward and entered the dungeon. As for Nakiri Arena, of course she stayed outside with Hephaestus and Hestia. After all, Arena Nakiri is just an ordinary person now. She has neither received the favor of God nor transformed into an adventurer, so she is not suitable for venturing into dungeons at all. And the two goddesses are even more unsuitable. The dungeons in the Dikuo world seem to have a special consciousness, and can even be said to have their own life. Once the gods enter the dungeon, riots occur. Therefore, the guild stipulates that no gods are allowed to enter the dungeon. And the gods also abide by this rule. The walls and ceiling dyed light blue occupy the entire field of view. The natural labyrinth, invisible to the sky, extends endlessly in all directions. forks, crossroads, gentle downhill roads. This is the view from the first level of the dungeon. If Luo Wei remembers correctly, the dungeon is divided into upper level, middle level, lower level and deep level. The upper level refers to the underground level 1 to the 12th underground level. This level is suitable for level 1 and level 2 adventurers. The middle level is worth the 13th underground floor to the 24th underground floor. This level seems to be for adventurers above level 3. The lower levels are from the 25th to the 36th floor. This level is suitable for first-class adventurers, that is, adventurers of level 5 or above. As for the deep layers, it refers to the 37th floor and below, as well as some unknown areas. It is currently unknown how many levels the dungeon has, because no one has ever been able to break through the dungeon. There is a very special place in the dungeon. The further you go down, the larger the floor area becomes. The 5th floor is already as wide as the central square, and by the 40th floor, its area is equivalent to the entire Orario city. Although some floors do not comply with this rule, in principle it can be judged that the dungeon is built around a cone, and the width of the passages in each cave room will be more open from floor to floor. In the dungeon, the environment is complex and changeable, containing countless terrifying monsters. The deeper the level, the more terrifying and unknown the monsters are. After a monster is killed, magic stones will appear on its body. After the magic stones are taken away, the monster's body will disappear. In an era when the gods have not yet come and humans have not received favors, monsters from the underground city can invade the ground unscrupulously. Later, after the gods came, Orario was built around the entrance to the dungeon, and drove all the monsters back into the dungeon. By the way, it is worth mentioning that there are multiple entrances to the dungeon, but most of them are currently sealed, with only the entrance under the Orario Tower of Babel still open. Whoosh! Luo Wei wielded the night sword and killed a monster that was close to him. The monster turned into fly ash in an instant and disappeared from Luo Wei's sight, leaving only a small piece of magic stone. It's so small, about the size of a fingernail. It doesn't sell for much. After all, he is a monster on the underground level and cannot make much contribution. In addition, the monsters on the underground level are called earth spirits, which are somewhat similar to goblins in fantasy worlds, but not very similar. They are considered a unique species of dungeons. Because earth spirits are too weak, they usually appear in groups. For example, there are more than 5 earth spirits appearing in front of Luo Wei now. If you were a new adventurer who had just entered the dungeon, you might be panicking now. But Luo Wei didn't panic at all, because this time he was not the only one who came in, and there was also Darkness, a trembling lady with an unbelievable hard body. Because Luo Wei didn't have to worry about being attacked by earth spirits at all. All earth spirits that attack him will be blocked by Darkness with her own body. Even if Darkness has a shield in her hand, she will not use it. Oh, just play. The shield is not as strong as Darkness' body. So Luo Wei can just output safely. After he chopped down all the earth spirits surrounding him like vegetables and melons, he took out the adventurer card and took a look at it. Luo Wei wanted to confirm whether he could gain experience points by killing monsters in the dungeon world. Luo Wei glanced at the progress bar and found that there was no change in the experience value progress bar of the adventurer card. This shows that he did not gain any experience points after killing the monsters in the dungeon. This means that the adventurer system of the wonderful world cannot be used in the wrong world. Of course, there is another possibility, that is, the monster Luo Wei killed did not have a soul. If Luo Wei remembers correctly, all the monsters in the dungeon are created by the dungeon. These monsters will leave behind magic stones after their death, but whether they have souls is another matter. If there is no soul, then the adventurer system cannot be used, and monsters that cannot absorb souls will be excused for increasing their experience points. Hey, what did I see? Look, Ace, there is a scum here. Just when Luo Wei and Darkness were about to leave, a strange voice suddenly sounded. Luo Wei looked in the direction of the sound. Only 4 adventurers appeared in front of Luo Wei and Darkness. A blonde girl, 2 dark-skinned girls, and an orc. By the way, this orc is also a werewolf. Luo Wei recognized this combination at a glance. After all, this combination is very famous in the Labyrinth City Orario. This is a first-rate adventurer from the Loki familia. Swordswoman Ace Wallenstein, Amazon sisters, Tiona Sillet and Tion Sillet. And Bert, the ferocious wolf. The Loki familia is one of the most powerful familia in the Labyrinth City Orario. This familia is as famous as the Freya familia and is known as the twin kings of the Labyrinth City Orario. But in fact, a long time ago, the two kings of the Labyrinth City Orario were the Zeus familia and the Hera familia. These two families are not only level 5 adventurers, but there are even level 8 and level 9 adventurers. Unfortunately, during an adventure, 2 senior adventurers from the clan were completely killed or injured. So the Loki familia and Freya familia saw the opportunity and joined forces to drive the Hera familia and Zeus familia out of the Labyrinth City Orario. From then on, the Zeus familia and the Hera familia became a thing of the past. The Labyrinth City has officially ushered in the era of the twin kings of the Loki familia and the Freya familia. It's a pity that these two families are not very successful. Even now, the Freya familia only has one level 7 adventurer. There is not even a single level 7 adventurer in the Loki familia. There are only 3 level 6 adventurers. As for the Sword Lady Ace, the Amazon sisters, and Bert in front of Luo Wei, they are all level 5 first-class adventurers. They are still far from the peak of Zeus and Hera's familia. By the way, the person who just started talking weirdly was none other than the werewolf Bert. As for why the werewolf Bert was so angry with himself when he first came up, Luo Wei also had some guesses. Probably they just saw Luo Wei using darkness to resist monster attacks. To be honest, using a companion to block a gun is quite explosive behavior not only in the wrong world, but also in the beautiful world, and even in all the worlds. Only the crumbs of crumbs can do such unbelievable things. Therefore, it is understandable that the werewolf Bert would feel weird when he saw Luo Wei's behavior. It's just that these people don't quite understand what's going on, so Luo Wei didn't get angry even though he was irritated. Darkness, let's go. Luo Wei greeted and prepared to leave with Darkness. He was not related to the Loki family members, so he was naturally too lazy to explain to them. Although Sword Princess Icy is very beautiful, there are many beautiful people in the world. Not to mention other things, in Luo Wei's opinion, both Darkness and Arena Nikiri are blonde beauties, no less inferior to this swordswoman. Therefore, Luo Wei naturally would not put his warm face against someone else's cold ass. At this moment, the werewolf Bert suddenly jumped over and blocked Luo Wei's way. Luo Wei frowned and looked at the werewolf Bert. Hey, we exposed his true nature and left like this. How can there be such a good thing, that one over there? The werewolf Bert took a liking to Darkness. If you are threatened, just blink. We will definitely protect you here. It will be okay. Is there no threat? Darkness said with a confused look on her face. Luo Wei and I are friends, why would he threaten me? Werewolf Bert looked confused. If he didn't threaten you, why did you use your body to protect him? Darkness said. Isn't it a matter of course to protect one's hair with one's own body? Rather, it is what I dream of doing. Using this obscene body of mine to protect my companions is the right thing to do. What a knight should do. What's more important is when the monster's attack hits me. Shut up, Darkness. When Luo Wei heard that Darkness was speaking more and more outrageously, he quickly covered the other person's mouth to prevent Darkness from continuing to speak. If we continue talking, things may get out of hand. But even so, what Darkness said just now still caused a huge impact on the werewolf Bert. The whole person seemed to have seen something. No, I must have heard something that I shouldn't have heard. I couldn't say a word for a long time. In fact, let alone the werewolf Bert, even the Amazon sisters showed expressions of disbelief. The only person at the scene who could remain expressionless was Sword Girl Ice. The reason why she had no expression was because she didn't understand what Darkness just said. Others see this person as a first-rate level 5 adventurer, but he is too well protected by the Loki familia. So up to now, it's still very simple. He didn't understand the profound meaning of Darkness's words just now, so he corrected Darkness instead. To protect your companions, you can use the shield in your hand or your own weapons. You don't need to use your own body. If you are injured, your companions will be very worried. Even Darkness, who had a timid nature, was silenced by these words. I know. Darkness fell silent after stammering this sentence. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became extremely awkward. Luo Wei took a deep breath and said slowly, "If there is nothing else, we are leaving." Maintaining the mentality that as long as I am not embarrassed, others will be embarrassed, Luo Wei turned around and left with Darkness. Before leaving the dungeon, Luo Wei vaguely heard the unbridled laughter of the Amazon sisters and the angry roar of the werewolf bird coming from behind. Soon after, Luo Wei left the dungeon with Darkness. When the two returned to the ground, Hephaestus and Hestia came to greet them with Nakiri Arena. "How's it going? Is the dungeon fun?" "It's not bad." Luo Wei said this, and also mentioned that he had no way to absorb souls in the dungeon to increase his experience points. Hephaestus was not surprised by this. Isn't it normal for the systems of the two worlds to be incompatible? When she integrates the two systems, maybe Luo Wei can absorb the souls of monsters in the dungeon to increase experience points. Luo Wei is also looking forward to this and hopes that this day will come soon. In the evening, Hephaestus took everyone to dine at one of the most famous restaurants in the Labyrinth City Orario. And this restaurant has a famous name, Mistress of Abundance. Yes, it is the restaurant where the male protagonist Belle often dines in the original plot. The manager of this restaurant is a retired adventurer from the Freya family. Moreover, he was also the former leader of the Freya Familia. After retiring, he opened a restaurant here, and soon the business was booming, making money every day. It is worth mentioning that Freya, the spirit of the Freya family, often opens a small account and works as a waiter here. And this trumpet is a girl. Hilfoir. On the one hand, people do this because they want to experience life, and on the other hand, they want to find adventurers with dazzling souls. Although Freya, like other gods, has sealed her divine power, but her eyes can see into people's souls. So she especially likes adventurers with dazzling souls. Because in her opinion, these adventurers with dazzling souls have great potential. So every time Freya discovers these adventurers, she will try her best to get them to join her family. By the way, Freya used her trumpet to discover Belle, the male protagonist of the wrong world, in the huge crowd, thus starting a relationship with the male protagonist Belle. But what made Luo Wei regretful was that when he came to the Hostess of Abundance this time, he did not see Freya's trumpet hill. Serving Luo Wei's group of people is an elf. It's called Lu Liang. He was once an adventurer. She is also a member of Astraea, the goddess of justice. Because Astraea is the goddess of justice, her family loves fairness and justice, so she is hated by many adventurers, and is later framed, leading to the destruction of her family. Liu asked Astraea to leave for revenge. In the end, the revenge was successful, but she was seriously injured. She was discovered by Silfoir and was taken away for treatment. Finally, she worked as the hostess of the tavern. Welcome. Probably because of his past experience, even when he said welcome, Liu still kept a calm face. No matter how you look at it, you can't see that she means to welcome people. Fortunately, everyone didn't mind and found a round table to sit down at. Hephaestus was considered a regular patron of this restaurant, so she ordered a large table of dishes. Liu nodded and said, "Is this all you want? Please wait a moment and we will make arrangements for you immediately." Then he retreated. After a while, all the food ordered by Hephaestus was served, and it looked very delicious. Everyone was hungry, so they ate heartily. Luo Wei and Darkness felt that the food here was quite good, delicious and tasty. But Arena Nakiri couldn't help frowning. She could feel that the taste of these ingredients was quite good, but the cooking skills were a bit rough. And her divine tongue undoubtedly magnified this point. Therefore, Arena was very entangled in this meal. There were several times when she wanted to slam the table and loudly scold the chef here for being too unprofessional. But unfortunately, this is not her world, but another world. So after some thinking, Arena Nakiri still held back the anger in her heart and pretended that nothing had happened. But the frown never loosened. And this scene was seen by Mia Grando, the manager of the rich hostess. After everyone enjoyed this sumptuous dinner, the manager came over. "It's been a long time since we last met, Goddess Hephaestus and Goddess Hestia. I wonder if you are satisfied with today's dishes." Of course, the dishes of the rich hostess are as good as ever. The store manager smiled, accepted Hephaestus's evaluation, and then turned his attention to Arena Nakiri. "My guest, I saw that you were frowning while tasting the dishes. I wonder what you think of our dishes. If you think our dishes are not delicious, you can give positive feedback if there is anything you are not satisfied with. Irina Nakiri had been silently enduring it, and now after hearing what the store manager said, she finally couldn't help but slam the table. If you want to say where you are not satisfied, of course it is all. This sentence immediately attracted the attention of all the customers and even the waiters present. Everyone focused their attention on Irina Nakiri. Nakiri Irina said loudly, "The steak was fried too much just now. You used high heat when it should have been low heat, which made the beef a little old. And the fried chicken legs were fried for too long, and they were a little greasy. Also, the lamb chops, although the fishy smell was removed, were marinated for too short a time, and they were not fully seasoned. Some of them were not cooked evenly. And the salad smelled too bad, covering up the taste of the vegetables themselves. In other words, it was rough. Your cooking is really too rough." After saying this, Nakiri Irina felt much more refreshed. After hearing this, the store manager couldn't help but narrow his eyes and looked Nakiri Irina up and down. "So you know a lot about cooking." Nakiri Irina proudly puffed up her chest and said slowly, "I am a senior student of Tatsuki Academy." Tatsuki Academy. Mia, the store manager, frowned. She had never heard of this place, but looking at Nakiri Irina's eyes, she realized that this place must be very impressive, otherwise the blonde woman in front of her wouldn't be so proud. So she patted Irina Nakiri's shoulder with her big hand. "It's decided. Now you will cook a dish for us. If the dish you cook is worse than ours, then we will pay for all the consumption today. If the dish you cook is not as good as ours, then apologize to my staff." "Okay, I'll do it." Naturally, Nakiri Irina would not refuse this kind of provocation. She rolled up her sleeves and walked into the kitchen without hesitation. Luo Wei saw that there was something fun to watch, so he quickly followed. Hephaestus, Hestia, and Darkness looked at each other and followed. In the back kitchen, Nakiri Irina has already started to deal with the dishes at hand. Steak, chicken, lamb chops, vegetable salads and other ingredients were handled by her in an orderly manner. As the owner of God's Tongue, Luo Wei does not doubt Irina's cooking skills. But even so, he was still attracted by Nakiri Irina's skillful movements. At this moment, Nakiri Irina was like an artist on the battlefield, handling the ingredients in the entire kitchen in an orderly manner. Dishes are created one after another under her command. The alluring aroma not only filled the entire kitchen, but even spread to the entire store. Some adventurers who had just come in couldn't help but feel their appetites increase and their mouths watered when they smelled this aroma. When the store manager saw this scene, he realized that he had lost. Not to mention anything else, these aromas alone eclipsed the food she cooked. "Please taste it." Nakiri Irina placed the freshly fried chicken, black pepper steak, charcoal grilled lamb chops, and refreshing vegetable salad in front of manager Mia. The store manager picked up a piece of charcoal grilled lamb chop and took a big bite. His eyes couldn't help but light up. Delicious. She had never tasted charcoal grilled lamb chops with such a rich flavor. The lamb chops were grilled to perfection and juicy. The taste is also very layered. The smoky barbecue flavor and the flavor of seasoning seemed to be distinct, but in fact they blend together just right. There was no overshadowing of each other. On the contrary, it harmoniously highlights the taste of mutton. At this moment, the store manager felt like a sheep running on the grass having a great time, feeling extremely free. "Wow, how did you make this? It's so delicious. Meow." At this moment, a brisk voice pulled the store manager out of the environment. The store manager didn't need to look to know that the person who said these words was his own clerk Anaya Frommel. A true dorky catwoman. Normally, she would have punched the opponent without hesitation, but she was in a good mood today and wouldn't teach this idiot catwoman a lesson. She came back to her senses and looked up at Irina. "You won. Although I don't know where Tatsuki Academy is, judging from the name, it should be a place that specializes in teaching chefs cooking skills. Being able to teach a chef like you means this place is amazing." Nakiri Irina proudly puffed up her chest. The store manager also fulfilled what she just said, and she will pay for today's consumption. In the end, the store manager even personally invited Irina. "Would you like to work in my store? I can give you a good salary. However, This invitation was politely declined by Nakiri Arena. After all, she is not from this world, so naturally she will not work in this world. After a small interlude, Luo Wei and the others left the rich hostess. Then he returned to Hephaestus's family. In Hephaestus's room, Luo Wei opened the door to the beautiful world and sent darkness back. Then he opened the door to the Shokugeki spirit world and sent Nakiri Arena back. But before sending Nakiri Arena back, Luo Wei handed over the prepared apology to Nakiri Arena. Of course, these are ingredients from another world that he bought from the Adventurers Guild, including giant toad meat and griffin meat. Of course, Nakiri Arena knew what apology meant. She took the ingredients with a blushing face and stammered, I accept your apology, but I hope you can completely forget about that incident. Quote. Luo Wei patted his chest and said, don't worry, I have forgotten it. It was true, but Luo Wei knew that it was impossible for him to forget. Nakiri Arena probably knew this, but she still pretended to believe Luo Wei's words, nodded, turned around and left, returning to her own world. After seeing off Nakiri Arena, Luo Wei once again said goodbye to Festus and Hestia, opened the door and returned to his own world. Had a quiet night. The next day, after Luo Wei got up in the morning, he washed up first and then opened the bedroom door. This time he did not go to the world of Dikuo, but directly came to the world of the spirit of the shouting halberd. The reason why Luo Wei came here was because he had a discussion with Nakiri Arena last night. Nakiri Arena will cook a sumptuous breakfast to entertain everyone. So Luo Wei came to the world of Arena Nakiri for the first time. Behind the door is still Nakiri Arena's bedroom. But this time Nakiri Arena was prepared. She was sleeping in pajamas. Even if Luo Wei suddenly broke in, her body could not be seen. Luo Wei's plan to take advantage of him was cut off from the source. When Luo Wei found Nakiri Arena was already ready. Today's breakfast was placed in a 5-story lunch box. The two of them carried the lunch box to the Dikuo world and found Hephaestus. Hephaestus was also ready this time and was wearing pajamas, so Luo Wei didn't see anything when he came in. Good guys, did you guys agree on this? Luo Wei couldn't help but murmur in his heart. After driving Luo Wei out of the room, Hephaestus changed into her own clothes and led the two of them to find Hestia, who had just gotten up, and then came to the wonderful world to look for darkness. After the two incidents of Hephaestus and Arena Nakiri, Luo Wei originally thought that darkness was also ready. But the facts told Luo Wei that darkness had not made any preparation at all. So when Luo Wei entered darkness's room, darkness was still looked at thoroughly by Luo Wei. But fortunately, Arena Nakiri quickly covered Luo Wei's eyes with her quick eyes, causing Luo Wei to make a small cry in his heart. After darkness got dressed, everyone sat together and enjoyed the breakfast that had been prepared. Nakiri Arena had obviously made full preparations for today's breakfast. The breakfast is ridiculously rich. And it looks very high-end, not like civilian food at all. Luo Wei knows this very well. Because the plot of the Shokugeki spirit world has not yet begun, the current Nakiri Arena has just become the Totsuki 10 heroes and has not met Yukihira Soma. Now she still looks down on common people's food, so of course the breakfast prepared will not include common people's food. Fortunately, these high-end dishes tasted pretty good, and Luo Wei ate them with gusto. After enjoying breakfast, everyone left Darkness's home and came to the Adventurers Guild. Because she had already been to another world yesterday, Nakiri Arena was not too surprised when she saw Axel this time. Axel is really far behind compared to the Labyrinth City or Ario. This time everyone came to the Adventurers Guild for two purposes. The first and most important one is to look for Chris. As for the second one, he helped Nakiri Arena register as an adventurer. However, when Luo Wei and others came to the Adventurers Guild, they did not find Chris. So everyone took Arena Nakiri first, and found the counter girl Luna to help Arena Nakiri register as an adventurer. Darkness still helped with filling out the forms. After all, Nakiri Arena also doesn't know the words of this world. After the registration was completed, Nakiri Arena touched some adventurer cards, and Nakiri Arena's numerical value was displayed on the adventurer cards. Like Luo Wei, Nakiri Arena's quality is at the level of ordinary people and does not exceed Luo Wei by much. At this level, one can only become an adventurer and cannot be transferred to a higher level profession. Fortunately, Nakiri Arena didn't mind either, and soon changed her job to become an adventurer. After this incident was over, Darkness began to ask the adventurers around her if they had seen Chris. Chris is still somewhat popular in the Adventurers Guild. When the adventurers heard that Darkness was looking for Chris, someone immediately told Darkness that a mission he saw Chris receiving a few days ago was not currently within Axel. When Darkness asked everyone when Chris would come back, most people shook their heads. So Darkness asked the counter girl Luna again. However, even the counter girl Luna didn't know exactly when Chris would come back. So everyone had to give up their search for Chris and decided to have a good talk with him when Chris showed up. Before that, everyone planned to receive a task to help Luo Wei and Nakiri Arena level up. But at this moment, Luo Wei suddenly thought of something. He remembered that he seemed to have promised Wiz that he would help Wiz purchase goods. So Luo Wei told Nakiri Arena about this, hoping that Nakiri Arena could help him collect some modern handicrafts, such as lighters, matches, shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrushes and other items. Although these things are not very valuable, if the quantity is large, they still cost a lot of money. As a wage earner, Luo Wei still has savings, but not much. On the other hand, Nakiri Arena is a wealthy person, and it is not an exaggeration to describe her as having a huge fortune. Therefore, Luo Wei hopes that Arena Nakiri can help him purchase these things and then give them to Wiz. He had previously agreed with Wiz that they would split the money 30 to 70. Now Luo Wei is willing to give up another 20% of the profit to Nakiri Arena. Although these products were prepared by Arena Nakiri, the problem is that Luo Wei has the core ability, traveling through the world. Without Luo Wei's ability, Arena Nakiri would not be able to sell all these things to another world no matter how rich she was. Therefore, Luo Wei feels that it is entirely feasible for him to take 50% of the profit. Regarding this, even Nakiri Arena didn't say much, but readily agreed. So before everyone took the risk, Luo Wei sent Nakiri Arena back to the world of Shokuki spirits. Arena Nakiri immediately complained to her grandfather, Senziman Nakiri, and asked him to buy a large number of these handicrafts in the name of the family. Then put them all in her room. Although Senziman Nakiri didn't know what Arena Nakiri was doing, he still agreed to it out of trust in his granddaughter. After doing all this, Arena Nakiri returned to the actual beautiful world and went on an adventure with Luo Wei and others. This time, the monster that Luo Wei's people wanted to defeat was the White Wolf. Although this thing is not a monster of the Griffin level, it is still not a monster that novice adventurers can deal with. Fortunately, there are two gods in Luo Wei's team. Therefore, even if they really encounter the White Wolf, everyone will not be too panicked. Another thing worth mentioning is the White Wolf. It is a group monster, and the degree of danger depends on the number. If the number is huge, even monsters of the Griffin level have to avoid its edge. Under the leadership of Darkness, everyone soon arrived at the place where the White Wolf appeared. However, Luo Wei and his group did not immediately find the trace of the White Wolf. So after some discussion, everyone decided to act separately. Darkness and Luo Wei acted together. And Hephaestus and Hestia took Arena Nakiri with them. With the protection of two gods, Arena Nakiri could escape danger even if she encountered danger. After everyone separated, Luo Wei and Darkness wandered around nearby. However, after wandering around for half an hour, they did not find any trace of the White Wolf. At this time, a scream came from a distance, and Luo Wei recognized that it was the voice of Arena Nakiri. Luo Wei immediately realized that it was very likely that Arena Nakiri was attacked by the White Wolf. So he and Darkness quickly rushed towards the direction where the sound came from. About 5 or 6 minutes later, everyone finally came to the place where the scream came from, and they saw Arena Nakiri being attacked by a group of white wolves. Goddess Hephaestus and Goddess Hestia were standing aside and watching the show. The white wolves surrounded Arena Nakiri, and her face turned pale with fear. But Luo Wei noticed that Arena Nakiri was not injured. A faint light appeared on her body. It should be the defense given by the two goddesses to Arena Nakiri, protecting her from being injured. Although Arena Nakiri had already discovered this, she was still so scared that her legs trembled when she saw the white wolves baring their teeth at her. There was no way. How many modern people have seen wolves? Not to mention the white wolves in the other world. This thing is a monster, more ferocious and terrifying than the wolves in the modern world. Just the ferocious eyes can scare ordinary people to pee. It is already remarkable that Irina Nakiri is not scared to pee now. Seeing this, Luo Wei rushed up with the knight's sword, and darkness followed closely behind. But after running for only 2 steps, darkness surpassed Luo Wei. There was no way, in terms of physical fitness, darkness crushed Luo Wei, and it was natural that she ran faster than Luo Wei. However, it was useless for darkness to run faster, because she could not hit the monster at all. Fortunately, there was another Luo Wei beside her. Luo Wei followed behind darkness's body and used darkness as a shield. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more. Chapter 21. When these white wolves pounced on Luo Wei, darkness was the first to stand in front of Luo Wei. Luo Wei took the opportunity to stab Bai Lang's body with his sword. Sometimes this sword would be in vain, but sometimes it would leave a huge wound directly on the white wolf's body. The white wolf whined, but more white wolves swarmed up and besieged Luo Wei and darkness from all directions. Even darkness couldn't protect Luo Wei from so many white wolves' attacks. Some white wolves would even bite Luo Wei's ankles and drag Luo Wei to the ground. The remaining white wolves would swarm up and try to eat Luo Wei. But at this moment, Hestia and Hephaestus will take action to drive away the white wolf. After the white wolf was driven away, Luo Wei quickly got up from the ground, regained his strength, and continued to attack the white wolf. With the help of the 2 goddesses, Luo Wei was not panicked at all. Quickly eliminate these white wolves one by one. But in the end, Luo Wei left a few white wolves to be dealt with by Nakiri Arena. These white wolves have basically been destroyed by Luo Wei, losing their offensive power and becoming meat on the chopping board, ready to be slaughtered. Luo Wei handed the knight's sword in his hand to Nakiri Arena. Nakiri Arena did not hesitate, picked up the knight's sword and raised the sword to kill the remaining white wolves one by one. As a chef, Nakiri Arena has killed fish, chickens, and many small animals. Killing is not new to a chef. As long as she treated the white wolf as food, she had no mental barriers at all, and it was a joy to do it. After taking care of the white wolf, it was almost noon, so Arena Nakiri started to dissect the white wolf using local materials. Then he started to make a fire and cook the white wolf in the simplest way. Not to mention, it tastes really good. The levels of these monsters are very high and their bodies are very nutritious, so the cooking tastes very delicious. At least Luo Wei's mouth is full of oil. After lunch, everyone took out their adventurer cards. Not surprisingly, Luo Wei was upgraded, and so was Arena Nakiri, several levels more. As for the 2 ladies, Hestia and Hephaestus, their levels remained motionless because they did not kill the white wolf. But the 2 goddesses didn't care about this either. After Luo Wei upgraded, he invested most of his skill points in defensive skills. He wants to learn from darkness and make his body stronger. As for Nakiri Arena not learning defensive skills, she was not willing to turn herself into a muscular woman like darkness. After some thinking, Nakiri Arena awakened to learn one-handed sword, one of the skills of a swordsman. The skill of one-handed sword may not seem very impressive, but it allows the swordsman to master some sword skills proficiently. For a chef like Arena Nakiri who likes to use kitchen utensils, a one-handed sword is the most suitable ability for her. After learning this one-handed sword, Arena Nakiri can not only fight, but also skillfully dissect various monsters. Unfortunately, darkness is a knight and does not have the skills of a swordsman. Therefore, everyone could only return to the Adventurers Guild as soon as possible to submit the task, and then sell the body of the White Wolf to the Adventurers Guild to earn a lot of money. Then they took the money and found an adventurer with the swordsman profession, hoping that he could teach them the one-handed sword skills. Although the adventurers in Axel were all low-level adventurers of relatively low levels, they were all very friendly. The adventurer with the swordsman profession was called Raoul. After hearing that Arena Nakiri wanted to learn the one-handed sword, he readily agreed. And after collecting a very small amount of money, he passed the one-handed sword skills to Arena Nakiri. After learning the one-handed skill, Arena Nakiri quickly realized the convenience of the skill. When she picked up the knight's sword, she found that she could control the knight's sword to make many professional movements. This is the convenience brought by the skill. So Arena Nakiri began to crave more and more skill points. And if you want to get skill points, you can only do it when you upgrade. This kind of thing can't be rushed. It is also worth mentioning that Nakiri Arena's grandfather, Nakiri Senziman, was very helpful. After hearing Nakiri Arena's request, he quickly stockpiled a large amount of toothpaste, toothbrushes, lighters, matches and other items in Nakiri Arena's room. The next day, when Luo Wei went to find Nakiri Arena, he opened the door and saw boxes after boxes in Nakiri Arena's room. The boxes were filled with all these items. So Luo Wei spent a morning delivering all these things to Wiz's store. In order to sell these things as soon as possible, Luo Wei proposed to hold a sale in Axel. To put it bluntly, it is to take out some of these things and sell them on the street. Only in this way can more people get in touch with these good things. Wiz didn't refuse the proposal, but grabbed Luo Wei's hand. This is a great idea, let's do it. So that afternoon, when Arena Nakiri followed Hephaestus and Hestia to fight monsters, Luo Wei held a small trade fair with Wiz in Axel Square. The products sold were of course matches, lighters, toothpaste, toothbrushes, and towels. The first people who were curious were adventurers. Wiz opened a magic tool store, and all the customers were adventurers. Ordinary customers would never come to the store. So when everyone saw Wiz standing on the roadside selling things, they naturally thought that Wiz was selling magic tools. A group of people immediately kept their distance. After all, everyone knew that Wiz's store was full of weird props. The kind that would explode if you weren't careful. But some people, driven by strong curiosity, walked up to Wiz and said, "Hey, poor store manager, what are you going to deal with today?" Even though he was called a poor store manager to his face, Wiz was not angry. Instead, he enthusiastically promoted these modern crafts to the adventurers. Wiz picked up a lighter and talked endlessly about the benefits of his lighter to the adventurers. This thing is much more convenient than flint. The adventurer was also a little tempted after trying it, but still said with some worry, "This thing won't explode." Luo Wei said on the side, "Don't worry, as long as you don't hit it hard, this thing will never explode. If you don't think the lighter is all right, you can also choose this." He handed over a box of matches. "This thing will never explode, but there is a disadvantage. Once it gets wet, it can't be used. In addition, we have a package event today. If you buy all the products once, we can give you a 30% discount." Under Luo Wei's eloquent sales pitch, the adventurer was finally moved. Of course, the more important reason is that these things are too cheap. Matches, towels, lighters, toothpaste, and toothbrushes total only a few hundred. This small amount of money cannot buy you a loss or be cheated. Even registering as an adventurer costs more than this. Spend a little money and try a few, so you don't have to think too much. After the first adventurer tries, a second and third adventurer will appear. Then, this trend quickly expanded from adventurers to the residents of Axel. In Luo Wei's opinion, these are the big ones. So in just one afternoon, all the products at the exhibition were quickly sold. Although these things are cheap, they cannot support large quantities. In one afternoon, these products became popular throughout Axel and made a lot of money. To put it bluntly, the money Wiz made this afternoon was equivalent to the money he made in the past month, or even 3 months. It can be described as full of bowls. After all, Wiz's magic tool shop is not making much money, and is almost losing money. As the fair came to an end, Hephaestus and the others also returned. When Hephaestus saw the residents of Axel frantically buying modern goods, he couldn't help but sigh. Let alone Axel, these items are still popular even in the Labyrinth City or Ario. The charm of modern handicrafts is so huge. At the same time, Wiz's attitude towards Luo Wei also became extremely good, and he even treated Luo Wei as a friend. Because Luo Wei saved her shop. But Luo Wei knows that these situations are temporary. He actually couldn't save Wiz's shop at all. Because in the original plot, Wiz had a friend who was very good at making money and joined Wiz's prop shop to help run the store. Due to his excellent business skills, the deficit situation was once improved. However, due to Wiz's ability to spend money, every time he earned money, he was immediately spent on buying new useless magic items. Luo Wei Cinema remembered that his friend made a lot of money, at least worth hundreds of millions of aris. But even so, he was still completely defeated by Wiz, which is enough to prove that Wiz has no business acumen. To put it bluntly, this is a prodigal woman who cannot afford to support 100 people. If Luo Wei refuses to provide Wiz with modern crafts, Wiz will easily be knocked back to his original form and become the impoverished shop owner again. However, it is impossible for Luo Wei to have this happen. After all, he plans to let Wiz help him purchase experience potions to make himself stronger, which will naturally not cut off Wiz's financial path. In the evening, at Luo Wei's invitation, Wiz also came to the Adventurers Guild to celebrate with Luo Wei. Wiz held a glass of beer and expressed his gratitude to Luo Wei again. "You're welcome, I did this to help myself." Luo Wei clinked a drink with Wiz, and then said, "But Axel is a novice town after all, and there are not many residents. The goods you are hoarding will soon become unsaleable, so you must expand sales channels as soon as possible, Wiz." Wiz was also very distressed about this. However, at this moment, Nakiri Arena suddenly said, "These things have a long shelf life. Even if they are kept for half a year, they will not break down. They can be sold slowly. If Wiz is short of money for giving likes, I have a good idea here that can make Wiz store manager a lot of money." Wiz's eyes lit up and he looked up at Arena Nakiri. Nakiri Arena said, "Spice, I can provide a large amount of spice to the Wiz store manager." When Luo Wei heard this, he suddenly realized, what a great idea, why didn't he think of it? Although the wonderful world is a different world of swords and magic, it is after all a medieval world with backward productivity, and spices here are absolutely as good as gold. Taking a step back, even if spices are not as valuable as gold, they are not as expensive as cabbage. In the modern world, spices are really not that valuable. Take the worthless spices and sell them in the wonderful world, and the price can increase tenfold or even dozens of times as soon as they are resold. This is much more profitable than matches, soap, and lighters. When Wiz heard that Arena Nakiri had a lot of spices, she couldn't help but get excited. "Is it true? Miss Arena is really willing to provide me with a lot of spices." Although she is a lich and no longer needs to eat, she often complained about the expensive spices when she was alive. "So I know very well how valuable spices are." "Of course," Nakiri Arena said with a smile. "I will give you the 100 kilograms of spices tomorrow." Thank you so much, Miss Arena." Wiz looked at Nakiri Arena with tears in her eyes, as if looking at a great savior. The next morning, when Luo Wei went to find Arena Nakiri had indeed prepared 100 kilograms of spices and sent them to Wiz's magic shop with Luo Wei. When looking at so many spices, Wiz was so happy that he almost fainted. In the eyes of those who know the goods, these are not spices, but money, a lot of money. I propose to hold a trade fair again to build a reputation. There are two purposes for doing this. The first is to tell everyone that you have spices here. The second is to tell everyone that the spices here are very cheap. As long as we open up the market, I believe that even the nobles in the royal capital will come to you to get the goods after hearing the news. By then, you will be sitting in the store and making money." After hearing the beautiful scene described by Luo Wei to himself, Wiz clasped his hands together and narrowed his eyes happily. "That's really beautiful." Without hesitation, everyone immediately took action. But after the news that Wiz was holding another exhibition spread throughout Axel, a group of onlookers immediately rushed over. However, this time everyone soon discovered that what Wiz was selling was not useful lighters, matches, soaps and toothbrushes, but spices, and they became even crazier. In just 10 minutes, 100 kilograms of spices were sold. Many people who had not bought the spices directly blocked the way of Wiz, Luo Wei, and Nakiri Arena, otherwise they would leave. Seeing this, Luo Wei could only jump up on the table and said loudly, "Everyone, please be quiet. The spices are gone now, but there will be some tomorrow. Tomorrow we will sell 1,000 kilograms, no, 5,000 kilograms of spices. By then, everyone will be able to buy spices. I hope everyone can wait patiently." Luo Wei's words were decisive and serious. When Wiz saw this, he jumped on the table and followed Luo Wei to appease everyone. After confirming that a large amount of spices would arrive tomorrow, the residents of Axel dispersed with satisfaction. And this news radiated to the surrounding area at an alarming speed. After everyone dispersed, Darkness hurried over and grabbed Luo Wei's hand. Chris is back. Luo Wei couldn't help but be overjoyed when he heard the news. Luo Wei guessed that the reason why Chris disappeared was not to play, but to return to the sky to deal with his work. Now that the work has finally come to an end, Chris can go down to darkness. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go quickly. Luo Wei quickly took darkness to the Adventurers Guild. After opening the door, he saw Chris chatting and bragging with other adventurers. After all, Chris's dress is too dazzling. She was wearing leather armor and looked like a lightly dressed girl. There is a small scar on her cheek, and she looks a bit worldly, but she gives off the impression of a big, cheerful and beautiful girl with silver hair. However, because her chest is very flat, she is often regarded as a pretty boy. No wonder Aqua complains that Arissa's breasts are padded. Hey, I haven't seen you for a while, Darkness. After Chris saw Darkness, he abandoned the adventurers chatting with him and walked up to Darkness, greeting her with a smile. Darkness nodded excitedly. Okay, long time no see, Chris. Although she now knew that Chris was the goddess Eris she believed in, when Darkness saw this familiar dress, it was difficult for Darkness to treat him as the goddess Eris. After all, she knew Chris, but she had never met Eris. He had already formed a deep impression on Chris and subconsciously regarded him as his friend, rather than the aloof goddess Eris. What's wrong, Darkness? Chris looked at Darkness suspiciously, always feeling that Darkness's attitude was a bit subtle. No, it's nothing. Welcome back, Chris. Well, I'm back, Darkness. Chris smiled heartily, and then turned to look at Luo Wei. I heard that Darkness joined a team of adventurers. Is this your team? Your name is Luo Wei, right? What a strange name, better than the Red Devil. The clan is even weirder. Luo Wei couldn't bear this point. No matter how you look at it, the name of the Red Demon clan is a bit weirder. Luo Wei doesn't want to live with a group of Chunabu. Chris laughed loudly, hooked Luo Wei's neck curiously and said, I have a question to ask you. Why did you invite Darkness to join your team? Luo Wei said, because Darkness has helped me a lot. When I was in this world, the first person I met was Darkness. She didn't dislike me, but enthusiastically helped me register and become an adventurer. Bye. How could I miss such a good partner? Chris said. Don't you know that Darkness can't hit any enemies? Luo Wei said lightly, this is not important to me. What's more, the shortcomings that can surround your companions are your true companions. Chris laughed again. I agree with you. It's great that Darkness has a companion like you. Luo Wei said. In my opinion, it is great that I can have a companion like Darkness. Chris couldn't help but look at Luo Wei with admiration, and kept poking Luo Wei's chest with his little finger. I didn't expect you to be so good at talking. Seeing that the heat was almost done, Luo Wei said, can Chris speak further? He extended an invitation to Chris, hoping that Chris could find a quiet place. Because he had a good impression of Luo Wei, Chris did not refuse, but readily agreed. Okay, what do you want to say to me? Then Luo Wei, Chris and Darkness left the Adventurers Guild together. When they arrived at a deserted place, Luo Wei said straight to the point, Chris, you must be the goddess Eris. Chris was startled, looked at Darkness, and stammered, you, what are you talking about? How could I be the goddess Eris? Quote. Luo Wei said calmly, no need to deny it, I know you are the goddess Eris. I have no ill intentions towards you, goddess Eris. Of course Chris knows that Luo Wei has no ill intentions towards him. She is also a goddess after all, and this can still be seen. However, in front of Darkness, Chris was really unwilling to admit that she was the goddess Eris. However, when she saw the determined look on Luo Wei's face, she knew she couldn't fool him. I know. Although I don't know where you know my identity, I'm sure you have no ill intentions towards me. So, what do you want to say to me? Luo Wei said. Goddess Eris, you should have noticed that I am not from this world. Chris nodded and said, the name Luo Wei is too strange. Well, if I remember correctly, you should be from China, right? So you are a reincarnation. But I remember that it seems that people from the Celestial Dynasty are prohibited from reincarnating into this world, right? Could it be Aqua Senpai who did it? If it were Aqua Senpai, it would indeed be possible for her to make such an own mistake. Chris couldn't help but think. Luo Wei shook his head and said, I am indeed from that country, but I am not a reincarnation. I entered this world by virtue of my own abilities. Haha, what, rely on your own abilities? Chris was startled, and this time she was really shocked. As far as she knew, the people in that world were basically ordinary people and had no ability to reach this world. How did you do that? After confirming that Luo Wei was not lying, Chris admitted that he was curious. Luo Wei said, I awakened a special ability by accident. I can travel freely through various worlds. This world is not the first one I have experienced. The first world I experienced was a very strange world, and it was also a world with gods. Later, Luo Wei told Chris some basic information about the Dikuo world. After hearing this, Chris was stunned. The gods descended to the lower world, established dependent clans, and interfered with the development of human civilization. These gods are too willful. She couldn't help complaining. As gods, shouldn't they silently support, observe, and correct human development in the heavens? Why should the lower world interfere? Facing Chris's doubts, Luo Wei smiled bitterly and said, the gods in that world are different from you. They only have one lower realm. The gods who have lived for tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of years are too boring in the heaven, so they will enter the human world. And you, the gods of this pantheon, seem to be in charge of more than one human world. Hearing what Luo Wei said, Chris seemed to understand. If there was only one human world, then the gods who had been in the heaven for hundreds of millions of years would indeed do such a thing if they were bored. So, what is your purpose in finding me? Chris asked. Actually, I want to introduce you to two gods. I said that the gods of that world have established a god's favor system and want to integrate it with the adventurer upgrade system of this world. But they don't know much about the adventurer system, so I hope you can help them. I wonder if you would like it, Chris. I can guarantee that God's favor is also a very good system. You can also take the opportunity to learn about it, and you can even use it on darkness. Chris was a little moved when he heard this. Not only because of the so-called God's favor system, but also because it can help darkness. And she also wanted to take a look at the labyrinth city Orario in Luo Wei's mouth. A world where gods and humans live seems quite interesting. I understand. Since you are so sincere, I agree to it. But you have to thank darkness. If it weren't for darkness, I would never agree to your request. If you bully darkness in the future, be careful as I will give you divine punishment. Luo Wei patted his chest and said, don't worry, darkness is my partner, and I will never bully darkness. Chris smiled and said, without further ado, let's set off right away. She also wanted to see the maze city in Luo Wei's mouth as soon as possible. Seeing how impatient Chris was, Luo Wei readily agreed, found a door at random and pushed it open. Then he took Chris and darkness to the labyrinth city Orario. On the other side of the door was still Hephaestus' side. At this time, Hephaestus was working in his room. Besides Hephaestus, there was another woman in the room. This woman's clothing is very bold, even avant-garde. Below is a red miko skirt, but the upper body is only bound by white strips of cloth. This look is quite explosive even in the avant-garde and trendy modern world. She is the leader of the Hephaestus Familia, Tsubaki Kobrand. By the way, this leader is the most famous blacksmith in Orario, with the title of the One-Eyed Giant. He has black hair and red eyes. He is dressed very similar to Hephaestus and has an eye patch on his left eye. He is a semi-dwarf born from a mixture of humans from the Far East and mainland dwarves. Since almost all dwarves have short arms and legs, Chun's height is jealous of many dwarves. Who said Tsubaki was a blacksmith, but because he often went to the dungeon to try out the weapons he made, he accidentally rose to level 5 and became a first-rate adventurer in Orario. Luo Wei often brings people in and out of the Hephaestus family these days. Chun has heard about this for a long time, but has never seen Luo Wei. Because Chun has been adventuring in the dungeon these days, looking for the materials he wants to use to build weapons. Today is her first meeting with Luo Wei. After seeing Luo Wei, he looked at Luo Wei openly. Luo Wei nodded towards Chun as a greeting, and then said to Hephaestus, let me introduce you, this is the goddess Eris we were looking for before. Hephaestus stood up, stretched out a hand and said friendly, hello, I am Hephaestus, the god of craftsmen. Chris smiled slightly and said, I'm sorry. Then a white light emitted from all over his body, and after the white light disappeared, Chris's image has undergone a huge change. If we say that the previous Chris was a weather-beaten adventurer, but he had a cheerful and bright atmosphere. So now she has turned into a beautiful girl wearing a white feather coat, with long white silver hair, fair skin, and a charming appearance. From a tomboy to the real goddess Eris. Then she took Hephaestus' hand and said, "Hello, I'm Eris." There is no doubt that this is a cross-world meeting between two goddesses. Under the lubrication of Luo Wei and darkness, he is cordial and friendly. Eris said with a smile, "Because this is my first time in Labyrinth City, could you please ask Senior Hephaestus to take me around this city? I'm still very curious about this city." "Of course, no problem." Hephaestus agreed readily. She turned to Chun and said, "You can handle the next thing by yourself. I have important guests to receive." Chun nodded and said, "I understand." Then he exited the room. Luo Wei and his group went to find Hestia again, then left Hephaestus's family and wandered around the Labyrinth City Orario. Although Luo Wei had already walked around the Labyrinth City Orario last time. But for such a large city, a cursory glance is enough. It is impossible to appreciate the prosperity and greatness of this city. Therefore, when he wandered around the Labyrinth City Orario for the second time, Luo Wei still enjoyed the stroll and made new discoveries from time to time. The goddesses Eris, Hephaestus and Hestia walking in front of them were chatting extremely happily. In the eyes of outsiders, this harmonious scene may seem like the three of them are very good friends. But in fact they just met. There is a saying that goes like this: birds of a feather flock together. Even gods must abide by this rule. Whether it is Hephaestus, Hestia, or even the goddess Eris, she is not a goddess with a cunning, eccentric, willful, self-willed, arrogant and domineering personality. It's so normal to be able to chat together. After a day of shopping, Hephaestus once again invited the goddess Eris to dinner. Naturally, the goddess Eris would not refuse. Luo Wei suggested at this time, "Why don't we go find Irina?" The goddess Eris asked curiously, "Who is Irina?" "Irina Nakiri, who is also our companion, is a very good cook. There is no doubt about her cooking skills. Would this be too much trouble for the other party?" Goddess Eris hesitated. "It's okay. I believe Irina will be very happy to receive you three goddesses," Luo Wei assured, patting his chest. After hearing Luo Wei's words, Goddess Eris, who was initially hesitant, winked playfully and said, "Then I agree." Luo Wei said, "Don't worry, hug me, you can hang out, I'll go find Irina, I'll call you when the meal is ready." After saying that, Luo Wei turned around and left, randomly found a door and came to the world of the spirit of the Shouting Halberd. However, Irina Nakiri is not in the world of Shokugeki no Spirit. Luo Wei slapped his forehead, and then he remembered that he had gone to find Chris, and Nakiri Irina seemed to have been thrown into a beautiful world by him. So Luo Wei quickly closed the door, opened it again, and communicated with the beautiful world. Sure enough, Irina Nakiri was found inside Axel's Adventurers Guild. At this time, Nakiri Irina was being accosted by a group of adventurers, with an impatient look on her face. Everyone could tell that she had reached the critical point and would explode. So Luo Wei rushed forward, grabbed Irina Nakiri, pushed open the door of the Adventurers Guild, and sent Irina Nakiri back to the world of Shokuki spirits. When Nakiri Irina saw Luo Wei, the eldest lady's temper finally broke out. "Too bad, you left me alone in that world. Do you know how I spent my day? Isn't it better to drink beer, sing songs, wander around Axel, and enjoy the beautiful scenery of another world?" Luo Wei asked rhetorically. Nakiri Irina complained, "Who would do that?" Luo Wei asked back, "Why don't you do that? It's a real other world. Don't you have any yearning for another world?" Nakiri Irina was immediately speechless. She was really embarrassed to tell Luo Wei that she was alone in Axel and was unfamiliar with the place. She was a little scared and had no intention of hanging out. "Forget it, this is not important. What is important is that you prepare a luxurious meal immediately and entertain the three goddesses Hephaestus, Hestia, and Eris." "What?" Nakiri Irina couldn't help but be stunned. "Didn't I make it clear enough? What I mean is that the three goddesses want to come to your place for a meal. Do you want to cook a sumptuous dinner to receive them? As for the ingredients, I will use the meat of griffins, white wolves, and giant toads, all right. You should still have some in stock," Luo Wei said. Nakiri Irina stammered, "No, I didn't hear about it." Why did the three goddesses suddenly come to my place for dinner? Of course I recommend it. Luo Wei said earnestly. This is a great opportunity for you to show off. Irina, you have been taking care of Hephaestus and Hestia these days, don't you want to make a sumptuous meal? Would you like to repay them with dinner? Nakiri Irina, who was still a little uneasy at first, was so aroused that she immediately said, how is that possible? I just want to make a sumptuous dinner. Just leave this matter to me. She quickly walked out of the bedroom, went to the living room, took out her cell phone and called her grandfather Nakiri Senziman. Grandpa, I have 3 very distinguished guests to receive. Please send me the best ingredients and spices from UNEU immediately. Remember, Grandpa, the guests I want to receive are very noble, more noble than the Prime Minister of a country. Please be sure to send me the best ingredients. When Nakiri Senziman heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned. A very distinguished guest, more distinguished than the Prime Minister of a country. Nakiri Senziman thought that his granddaughter was a bad learner and could actually brag. But when I think about Irina, although that child is arrogant, she doesn't seem to have done anything unreliable, and then I think about Irina's mysterious appearance in the past 2 days. He couldn't help but narrowed his eyes and said, I understand, Grandpa will do it immediately. In less than half an hour, the ingredients requested by Irina Nakiri were delivered to her home. Also arriving with the ingredients was Nakiri Senziman. This old man, who was called the Food Demon King by the students at Tatsuki Academy, also came with him. As soon as Nakiri Senziman entered the door, he saw Luo Wei sitting on the sofa joking with Nakiri Irina, and subconsciously looked at Luo Wei. Could this be the distinguished guest? Irina said. His mind was racing over and over again, but his expression remained calm. Irina, I have brought you the ingredients you asked for. Nakiri Irina stood up immediately. Great, Grandpa, I'm going to work. Luo Wei-kun, please wait here for a moment. When Hisha comes, ask her to come to the kitchen to help me immediately. After saying that, Nakiri Irina couldn't wait to walk into the kitchen. As for the Hisako in her mouth, it is of course Nakiri Irina's follower, Nito Hisako, who is affectionately called secretary by the majority of netizens. Because there are so many ingredients to handle, Nakiri Irina is afraid that she won't be able to do it all by herself. So after calling Nakiri Senziman, she called Nito Hisako and asked her to come over and help her. The current secretary should still be on his way here. Nakiri Irina entered the kitchen, and only Luo Wei and Nakiri Senziman were left in the hall. After the two looked at each other, Nakiri Senziman sat directly opposite Luo Wei and asked with a smile, Your Excellency, I don't know what you call me, what is your relationship with my granddaughter Irina? Luo Wei responded, My name is Luo Wei, and I am Irina's companion. Companion. Nakiri Senziman's eyes flickered, thinking carefully about the meaning of this companion, and tentatively asked, Is Your Excellency Luo Wei the distinguished guest that Irina said? Luo Wei shook his head and said, I am not a distinguished guest. The truly distinguished guest has not arrived yet. Nakiri Senziman asked, Then I don't know who this distinguished guest is. Irina told me that these 3 distinguished guests are more distinguished than the Prime Minister of a country. Why do we receive these 3 distinguished guests here? It's not too rude. Luo Wei heard the meaning of Nakiri Senziman's words, and he was obviously testing the identities of the 3 distinguished guests. Luo Wei said simply, No, Hephaestus and the others don't care about this anyway. Hephaestus. Of course Nakiri Senziman knew this name, the god of fire and the god of forging in Greek mythology. This made him even more confused. What kind of person would give himself the name of a god? Is it too arrogant? And where did Irina know these strange people? At this moment, the door to the living room was suddenly pushed open. A JK burst in from outside in a hurry, with short pink and purple hair, brown eyes, blue and purple top, and plaid pleated skirt. This is a pretty orthodox beautiful girl. Sorry, I am late. The orthodox beautiful girl who suddenly barged in was naturally Nakiri Irina's little follower Nito Hisako. Also known as secretary. Right, Irina is in the kitchen, go in by yourself. Luo Wei pointed in the direction of the kitchen and said. Nito Hisako's face turned red and he retorted angrily, Who is the secretary? I am. Fei Shasha, come in quickly and help. Before Nito Hisako could finish speaking, Nakiri Irina's voice came from the kitchen. The secretary didn't dare to neglect, so she could only glare at Luo Wei with a resentful look on her face, and quickly ran to the kitchen. Luo Wei chuckled, looked back at Nakiri Senziman, and said calmly, "Okay, old man, you don't need to test me, I will tell you the truth. The 3 guests Arena will receive are Hephaestus, Hestia, and Eris. These 3 are all genuine goddesses. Hephaestus is the god of craftsmen and forges. Hestia is the kitchen god. And Eris is the goddess of luck. The 3 of them are all goddesses from another world. Do you understand what I say?" Nakiri Senziman. To be honest, if he could, he really hoped that Luo Wei was joking with him. As people get older, they cannot withstand such a huge impact. A goddess from another world is too unbelievable. So, Sir Luo Wei is not kidding me. Nakiri Senziman confirmed again. "Don't worry, I won't joke with you on this matter." Luo Wei said. "Why do you think Arena Nakiri is asking you for spices, toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap and other modern crafts these days? It's just for hoarding, how is it possible? Of course it's for selling to other worlds. In addition, we are preparing 5,000 kilograms of spices if needed tomorrow." Nakiri Senziman said without hesitation. "Let alone 5,000 kilograms, even 50,000 kilograms of spices is nothing to me at Tatsuki Academy. I will have people prepare it now." He immediately took out his mobile phone and called his subordinate, asking him to send 5,000 kilograms of spices. He did not doubt what Luo Wei said, because this matter can be confirmed by asking his granddaughter Arena. And he didn't think anyone would tell such an outrageous lie in front of him. If you want to defraud, you can make up a more reasonable excuse instead of such an outrageous lie. More importantly, he didn't believe Luo Wei, but he believed in his granddaughter. About an hour later, the secretary hurriedly ran out of the kitchen and asked, "The eldest lady asked me to ask, dinner will be ready soon, when will the guests arrive?" Luo Wei slapped his thigh and stood up. "Wait, I'll go find them now." Then, Luo Wei found a door and opened it, returning to the earthly world and finding the 3 gods Hephaestus, Hestia, Eris, and Darkness. "Guys, Arena has prepared dinner. Come with me." The girls nodded and followed Luo Wei to the world of Shokugeki spirits and arrived at Arena's home. Nakiri Senziman had already put on a clean kimono to welcome the arrival of several guests. Seeing that Luo Wei had brought 4 guests, one more than expected, although he was a little surprised, his face was full of surprise. "Didn't show it. Guests, Arena has been waiting for a long time. Please come with me." With that said, he led a few people to the restaurant. The rectangular dining table was filled with all kinds of food, and the refreshing aroma filled the entire hall. Nakiri Arena wore a white chef's uniform and bowed elegantly, showing her good education. "Arena is honored to welcome the goddesses to my humble home," Luo Wei said with a smile. "Let me introduce you, the goddess Eris. This is Arena Nakiri, my companion, and of course Darkness's companion. As for this, Nakiri Senziman is Arena's grandfather. And this one is Arena's secretary." Nito Hisako's face suddenly turned red, and he seemed to want to refute, but seeing this situation, especially when he saw Nakiri Senziman looking respectful and not daring to show any lightness, I had to swallow the words that came to my mouth. Eris said, "Secretary, this name is as strange as the Red Demon Clan. I remember that the Neon Man's name doesn't look like this." Nakiri Arena glared at Luo Wei, and then said quickly, "Luo Wei is talking nonsense about the secretary, Nito Hisako, her name is Nito Hisako." Nito Hisako immediately glanced at his eldest lady with gratitude, her eyes filled with tears, and she was so moved that she almost pledged herself to her. Eris suddenly realized, so that's what it's like. Nakiri Arena asked curiously, "But then again, are the red demons also a race from another world? Are their names all weird?" Regarding this point, Darkness nodded without hesitation. "Yes, the names of the Crimson Demon clan are very strange. I remember that Axel seems to have a Crimson Demon clan named Megaman." Nakiri Arena couldn't help but said, "Is the name Megaman strange?" "Why doesn't she think so?" Darkness said, "Isn't it strange?" Nakiri Arena shook her head. Luo Wei said, "Arena naturally won't find it strange, because the Red Demon tribe was originally a race created by a neon man who turned to a different world and used a plug-in given by the gods. Their names are basically Wei Wei, Xiaomi, Dundunzi, Piao Sanlang and the like. It may seem strange to you, but to the Neon people, these names are quite ordinary. These words shocked everyone present. Darkness and Arena Nakiri had expressions of disbelief on their faces. The only one who could keep calm was Aris. Because she knows very well the origin of the Red Demon clan. These are all good things done by her senior Aqua. But what surprised her was that Luo Wei actually knew about this matter, which made her a little curious about Luo Wei. It seems like this man knows a lot of things. Luo Wei clapped his hands, attracted everyone's attention back, and said, "Okay, let's sit down and eat first. It's rare that Arena has prepared such rich food for us. It won't taste good when it's cold. Everyone eat it while it's hot." Nakiri Arena said quickly, "Everyone, please sit down." The girls nodded, sat down around the dining table, and began to think about today's dinner. At night, after the dinner, Luo Wei sent Aris and Darkness back to the beautiful world. Send Hephaestus and Hestia back to Earth. Then, he said hello to Nakiri Arena, slowly left the world of Shokuki spirits, and returned to his home. After everyone left, the entire hall seemed empty. After sending away Shinto Hisako, Nakiri Senziman looked at his granddaughter and asked, "That Luo Wei just told me that among the 4 people you entertained today, 3 of them are gods. Is this true?" Quote. Nakiri Arena nodded, "It's true, Grandpa." Nakiri Senziman took a deep breath and said slowly, "Can you tell me the ins and outs of this matter, Arena?" Sure. Nakiri Arena invited her grandfather to sit down, and then told her how she met Luo Wei, how she became an adventurer and was about to join the Hestia Familia. By the time she finished speaking, it was already late at night. Normally, Nakiri Senziman would have already fallen asleep at this time. However, today, instead of feeling sleepy, Nakiri Senziman seemed extremely excited. He grabbed Arena Nakiri's shoulders and said decisively, "This is an opportunity, Arena, this is a great opportunity, you must seize her." Nakiri Arena nodded, "I will, Grandpa." Nakiri Senziman said, "This matter is not only for the Nakiri family, but also for you, Arena." Nakiri Senziman nodded and said seriously, "I have never told you, Arena, that your god's tongue is a talent given by God, but is it also a curse?" Curse? Nakiri Arena was suddenly confused. Nakiri Senziman said, "The god's tongue you now say is not the ultimate state, Arena, the ultimate state of the god's tongue can amplify the shortcomings of food. By that time, you won't be able to eat anything. So I never want you to rely too much on God's tongue. I don't even want you to develop God's tongue. Because this talent will make it difficult for you to swallow any food. In the end, you can only survive with nutrients." Nakiri Arena's eyes widened in disbelief. She had never thought that her god's tongue would have such a terrible flaw. But what made Nakiri Arena even more reluctant was, "Why do you know these things, Grandpa?" Nakiri Senziman hesitated for a moment, and finally told the truth, "Because my daughter, your mother Nakiri Shinagi, has such a tongue. Now she is the only specific executive officer of WGO, and she can only rely on nutrients every day. Sanagi hasn't eaten for a long time now. There is nothing I can do about this. I can only watch my daughter relying on nutrients to survive. Now you should understand why I don't want you to rely too much on God's tongue." Nakiri Arena fell into silence. She did not have a deep relationship with her mother, Nakiri Minagi, because she had not seen her mother many times since she was born. In the mind of Arena Nakiri, there is no doubt that Minagi Nakiri is an unqualified mother. However, she did not expect that this unqualified mother would experience such an experience. "This is really unexpected. Perhaps I have never understood her." "Arena," Nakiri Senziman said, "I know you have always resented your mother. I also admit that she is not a qualified mother, but she is still my daughter. Arena, I don't expect you to forgive her, but if you can get some delicious food in the other world, give her some. If possible, I hope you can let her join the family of Goddess Hestia. At least let the goddess heal her." Arena Nakiri was silent for a moment and said, "Whether she can join the family of Goddess Hestia is not I have the final say, but Hestia has the final say, but I will tell Hestia about this matter." Quote. Nakiri Senziman exhaled deeply and said, "That's it, thank you, Arena, the Nakiri family will always be your strongest backing. I will send you 5,000 kilograms of spices tomorrow morning." Nakiri Arena hummed, "Thank you, Grandpa." You're welcome, I'll leave first, have a good rest, Irina. Grandpa. When Nakiri Senziman was about to leave, Nakiri Irina suddenly called him. Is there anything else, Irina? Nakiri Irina said, there are some leftover ingredients in the kitchen, which are ingredients from another world. I left them for you. Nakiri Senziman was stunned at first, and then he immediately laughed. Of course he knew that these ingredients were not given to him, but his proud granddaughter was unwilling to admit it. So Nakiri Senziman walked to the kitchen and said loudly, then I won't be polite. After getting what he wanted, Nakiri Senziman left happily. The next morning, Nakiri Senziman delivered all the 5,000 kilograms of spices as agreed. These spices are placed in bottles and jars without any labels, which is very easy to sell. It will not arouse anyone's suspicion. After a night of rest, Nakiri Irina sorted the spices, and after Luo Wei arrived, she followed Luo Wei to move all the spices to Wiz's store. When Wiz saw Luo Wei and Nakiri Irina coming, he immediately rushed over and hugged the two. You are finally here. Luo Wei looked confused. What's wrong, so excited? Wiz pointed to the door of the store and said, look outside, look outside. Luo Wei turned his head and took a look, and was shocked. It turned out that there was a long queue in front of Wiz's magic tool store, winding and circling, and there was no end in sight. Wow, are these people here to buy spices? Luo Wei found it incredible. Wiz nodded. Luo Wei knew that spices were popular in this world, but he didn't expect them to be so popular. Could it be because he bought them at a relatively cheap price? But no matter what, these people were here to give money, and he had no reason to turn away the god of wealth. So Luo Wei waved his hand and said to Wiz and Irina Nakiri. Then what are we waiting for? Let's start working and make money. In just one morning, 5,000 kilograms of spices were sold out. This shows that this thing is really popular. It is also worth mentioning that the net sales this time exceeded hundreds of millions of aris, which is undoubtedly a huge sum of money. This is the reason why Luo Wei deliberately lowered the price. If Luo Wei had not lowered the price, but sold spices at the standard price of this world, the number of transfers would probably be possibly more than 300 million aris. As agreed, after this huge sum of money was stratified, Luo Wei took away 50 million aris. Wiz took away 30 million, and the remaining 20 million or so belonged to Nakiri Irina. But Nakiri Irina was rich and didn't take the money to heart at all. If it weren't for the fact that Japanese yen could be exchanged for currencies from another world, Nakiri Irina would have to spend hundreds of millions of aris every minute. The level of wealth is no less than that of the Darkness family. After the spices were sold out, the buying crowd gradually dispersed. At this moment, a man in a tuxedo came over. The man was very well dressed and looked like a gentleman. Good afternoon, you three. He stood in front of Wheezy's store and said hello to Luo Wei and the others. Wiz quickly returned the greeting. Hello, do you need anything? The man said calmly. I heard that the store manager seems to have some strange items here, called toothpaste and soap. Wiz nodded. There is indeed some stock. A cheerful smile appeared on the man's face. I really came here for this. I wonder how much inventory the store manager has left. Can he sell it to me? Wiz was a little surprised. You can't use it all by yourself. Luo Wei rolled his eyes and said, Idiot, which one of your eyes did you see that this guy is alone? Wiz was a little confused and quickly shook his head from side to side. Luo Wei knocked her head angrily. I mean, this guy is obviously a representative of a certain chamber of commerce. It's not that he is not the same person behind him. The man looked at Luo Wei with some approval. Your Excellency, you have good eyesight. I am indeed from the Ball Chamber of Commerce. Ball Chamber of Commerce. Luo Wei shook his head. I haven't heard of it. Wiz quickly reminded. Ball Chamber of Commerce is a large chamber of commerce, ranked among the best in the entire kingdom. Luo Wei sighed. Although he had seen the plot of Wonderful World, most of the plot revolved around Sato Kazuma, Aqua, Darkness, and Megaman. Both the Adventurers Guild and the Demon King's army have descriptions. But there is little description of how many chambers of commerce there are in the kingdom and what their names are. In short, these background panels will basically not appear in the plot. But this does not mean that these background panels do not exist, because Luo Wei has realized that he has come to a real different world, not just a plot. Wiz quickly invited the representative of the Ball Chamber of Commerce to the store and temporarily gave the inventory to the representative of the Ball Chamber of Commerce. After a few inspections, the representative of the Chamber of Commerce asked, "I heard that the store manager sells these things in Axel for 500 aris a set. I am willing to buy them for 1,000 aris. I don't know what the store manager wants." Quote. Wiz turned his head and glanced at Luo Wei, which made the Chamber of Commerce representative realize that maybe Luo Wei was the one who could make the decision. However, Luo Wei did not overwhelm the guests, but said, "This is your store, you make your own decision." Wiz thought for a moment and agreed readily. Sure. After negotiating the deal, the Chamber of Commerce representative did not leave immediately. Instead, he took out a bottle of spices from his pocket. Luo Wei could tell at a glance that this was exactly the spice he had just sold. The representative of the Chamber of Commerce said, "I just bought the spices you sell. The workmanship is very fine and the taste is very good. They are top quality. However, the price you sell them is only 1/3 of the normal price. Don't you think it's a pity that such good things are sold at such a low price?" Luo Wei said, "Axel is not a prosperous big city. It is too expensive to sell, let alone." Having said this, Luo Wei paused for a moment, and then said slowly, "How can I attract a big customer like you if I don't sell it cheaper?" Chamber of Commerce representative, "Emotions themselves are the fish that takes the bait." Luo Wei said cheerfully, "How much spice do you want?" The Chamber of Commerce representative smiled slightly, puffed up his chest proudly, and said confidently, "I want as much as you have. Quick, but the price is about 2/3 of the normal price. As for how much you buy, it has nothing to do with me. What do you think? Besides, I don't accept bargaining here. If we make a deal, we'll sign the agreement. If we don't, please turn around and leave." What Luo Wei said is a person who is full of confidence and clearly defeats the other party. The Chamber of Commerce representative gave a wry smile, stretched out his right hand, and said, "Deal." Although 2/3 of the price is a bit expensive, it is not that there is no profit to be made. On the contrary, there is a huge profit. Of course he wouldn't refuse. "Very good, I can prepare 5,000 kilograms of spices tomorrow. You have the money to send someone to pick them up." The Chamber of Commerce representative nodded, "It's a pleasure to cooperate." "It's a pleasure to cooperate." Luo Wei smiled slightly. After seeing off the Chamber of Commerce representative, Wiz could no longer suppress the excitement in his heart and almost jumped. "Great, Luo Wei, we're going to get rich. 5,000 kilograms of spices, if calculated at 2/3 of the normal selling price, would be an income of more than 200 million aris. This is 200 million. When had she ever had such a huge income? Although Luo Wei and Irina Nakiri will share part of the money, even Sashi can receive more than 60 million aris. Since opening this magic equipment shop, Wiz has never seen such a large sum of money. Now that her store is finally making money, she doesn't know how to spend it. So Wiz immediately took out a paper and pen and began to calculate how to use the money. First, he would buy experience potions for Luo Wei and Nakiri Irina, and then go to the Red Devil village to purchase a large number of magic tools. This time she must buy a batch of magic tools that will surprise everyone, and then her magic tool shop will be on the right track. Wiz couldn't help laughing when he thought of the scene where countless adventurers swarmed in and trampled the door of his magic shop. This scene naturally fell in the eyes of Luo Wei and Nakiri Irina. To put it bluntly, fortunately Wiz is a beautiful woman with a broad mind, otherwise her laughter would easily make people think of a crazy person. Ever since Luo Wei took the lead in letting the three goddesses Eris, Hephaestus and Hestia meet, the three goddesses have gathered together every day to study the adventurer system and God's favor. The more they studied, the more amazed the three goddesses became. The two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia were surprised by the perfection of the adventurer system. This system involves all aspects, which is very amazing. The goddess Eris was also very amazed at the growth of God's favor. Both sides find the other's system amazing. To put it bluntly, this is a typical business blow-off. However, there are reasons for both sides to brag about each other. After all, both the God's favor system and the adventurer upgrade system were carefully created by the gods. To put it bluntly, both systems contain the wisdom of the gods. That's why the three goddesses are so fascinated. Are you studying every day how to integrate the two systems? As they researched, the three goddesses gradually discovered that the adventurer system and God's favor seemed to have nothing to do with each other, but they actually had something in common. For example, upgrading the adventurer system requires a lot of experience points. The adventurer upgrade of God's favor also requires the accumulation of great deeds. The two appear to be different, but in fact they have similar approaches but the same purpose. Therefore, the three goddesses plan to start from this point and gradually integrate the two systems. Strive to create a new and more complete system. But this is not something that can be done in a short time. So in the following days, the three goddesses were obsessed with research and could not extricate themselves. Luo Wei had to take Darkness and Arena Nikiri to defeat the monsters alone. Without the care of the two goddesses, Luo Wei had to take Arena Nikiri and Darkness to defeat some relatively low-level monsters, such as goblins, slimes and other monsters. Although these monsters don't appear much in the beautiful world, they still exist. But what makes Luo Wei helpless is that the experience value provided by these monsters is too low. If you want to rely on the experience points provided by these monsters to level up, it takes too much time. I need to find another nanny. So Luo Wei had an idea and found Wiz. Although Wiz is no longer an adventurer now. But she is still a lich standing at the top of this world. A terrifyingly strong body. With her as a nanny, she won't be afraid even when facing the Demon King Luo Wei. Weiss readily agreed to Luo Wei's invitation without any consideration. So a few people defeated some more powerful monsters here. The level is like riding a rocket, whizzing upwards. After about a week, Luo Wei's level was raised to level 20. Darkness is taller than Luo Wei. Even Nikiri Arena has been promoted to around level 10. According to the settings of the wonderful world, adventurers will automatically gain skill points as their level increases. Luo Wei divided a large part of the skill points he obtained into defensive skills. This made his body harder. Although not as good as Darkness, ordinary swords cannot leave any scars on Luo Wei's body. This kind of defense is already exaggerated. As for the remaining skill points, Luo Wei learned some very basic magic from Wiz. These magics are useless when used to attack enemies, or have little effect. However, it has brought convenience to Luo Wei in terms of life. Take primary water magic as an example. Luo Wei can use water magic to summon clear water even during adventures. It is very convenient whether it is used for drinking or cleaning. Earth magic allows Luo Wei to build a temporary shelter in a short period of time. In this way, you can survive calmly even in the wilderness. This is the convenience of primary elemental magic. As for Nikiri Arena, because her level is not high enough and her skill points are not enough, she can only spend every skill point frugally on the blade. In addition to the one-handed sword, she learned fire magic and water magic. One is used for cleaning prey, and the other is used for cooking. It is quite convenient to cook. Luo Wei persuaded Nikiri Arena to learn some defensive skills. At least don't let yourself become a crispy one that breaks into pieces when touched. However, Nikiri Arena disagreed. Luo Wei was helpless after seeing him. However, at this moment, Wiz discovered a fatal flaw in Luo Wei. That's not enough attack. During a crusade against monsters, Wiz discovered monsters that adventurers of the same level could kill with just one sword strike. Luo Wei spent 4 or 5 swords. Therefore, after the monster crusade was over, Wiz pointed this out without mercy. Luo Wei, you must learn a powerful attack skill, otherwise you may not be able to go far in the next adventure. In fact, Luo Wei also discovered this, but he had already used all the skills he had. There are no extra skills to learn attack skills. Wiz also knew this, and sighed and said, "We can only wait until you get skill points after you level up." But at this moment, an idea suddenly flashed in Luo Wei's mind, and he thought of another possibility. Maybe he can learn very powerful skills without needing skill points. So everyone immediately went home and returned to Axel. The first thing Luo Wei did when he returned to Axel was to find the goddess Eris. At this time, the goddess Eris was discussing system integration with the two goddesses Hephaestus and Hestia in the inn. During this time, they have already developed a good understanding of each other. Just as the discussion among the goddesses was in full swing, Luo Wei suddenly rushed in and grabbed the goddess Eris. "Sorry, I have something to do with the goddess. You guys should talk first." Give me some time and I will return the goddess to you right away. After saying that, he dragged the goddess Eris out. Although she was treated like this by Luo Wei, the goddess Eris was not angry. Instead, he looked at Luo Wei curiously and said, Luo Wei, do you need my help with anything? Luo Wei nodded and said, yes, I do have one thing that I need your help with, goddess. Goddess Eris asked, why are you in such a hurry? Don't be anxious, speak slowly. If I can help, I will not refuse. Luo Wei said, if I remember correctly, the population of this world is getting smaller and smaller due to the activity of the Demon King's army. In order to solve this problem, the gods brought some reincarnated people from Neon and asked them to defeat the Demon King. Quote, and gave them some plugins, skills or artifacts. The goddess Eris nodded, not denying this. Luo Wei said, if I also take it as my mission to defeat the devil and save the world, I wonder if the goddess can also give me a plugin. After hearing Luo Wei's words, the goddess Eris couldn't help but suddenly realized. After talking for a long time, Luo Wei turned out to want a plugin. However, the goddess Eris shook her head, I'm sorry Luo Wei, I can't help you. You also said before that only reincarnated people will be given cheats, and you are not a reincarnated person. So, goddess Eris did not continue speaking, but Luo Wei understood what she meant. This made Luo Wei feel a little unwilling. Suddenly an idea flashed in his mind and he said, if I am not a reincarnated person, wouldn't it be nice to turn me into a reincarnated person? In this way, I can also get plugins. The goddess Eris couldn't help but be shocked by this crazy idea. Is this still possible? But after hesitating for a long time, she still shook her head. Why? Luo Wei was puzzled. Eris explained, because the reincarnations of the celestial dynasty are prohibited from entering these worlds. Aha! Luo Wei was confused. In fact, Luo Wei had heard about this before, but he didn't pay much attention at the time. But now he doesn't quite understand why the reincarnations of the celestial dynasty are prohibited from entering these other worlds. Is it possible that this is discriminating against the reincarnations of the celestial dynasty? Goddess Eris had no choice but to explain again, because you reincarnations of the celestial dynasty especially like to plant red flags all over the world. You often make these worlds a mess. The population is declining as a result, which is even more cruel than the Demon King's army. Therefore, after careful consideration, the people above prohibit the reincarnated people of the celestial dynasty from entering these other worlds. Good guy. Luo Wei calls him good guy. Red flags fill the world. Which reincarnation did the good deed? It actually blocked the way for people behind. In this regard, Luo Wei can only say, well done. To be honest, if it weren't for his golden fingers that could travel around the world, maybe one day Luo Wei would rise up and plant the red flag all over the world. After all, there are many stupid nobles in this world, and Luo Wei may not be able to resist killing him. Although the goddess Eris has spoken to this extent, Luo Wei is still unwilling to give up easily. After some thought, Luo Wei asked cautiously, if I remember correctly, the person in charge of reincarnation now should be your senior Aqua. Eris glanced at Luo Wei in surprise and said, Luo Wei, you are always so well informed. The person currently in charge of reincarnation is indeed Senior Aqua. Luo Wei continued, if I remember correctly, this Senior Aqua doesn't seem to be very friendly to you. Yes, is there? Goddess Eris asked unconfidently. If I remember correctly, she seems to bully you a lot, right? Eris laughed a few times and did not answer. But in Luo Wei's opinion, this is more like acquiescence. So Luo Wei laughed, Goddess Eris, don't you want to give this Senior Aqua a little shock? Eris couldn't help but be stunned and said slowly, what do you mean? Luo Wei interrupted before she could finish her words, my idea is very simple. Send me to the place of reincarnation and let me face Aqua alone. You don't have to worry about the rest. Goddess Eris understood immediately that Luo Wei was planning to dig a hole for Senior Aqua. The goddess in charge of reincarnation now is Aqua Senpai. If something goes wrong, Aqua Senpai will be fully responsible. This matter has nothing to do with her, Eris. There is no doubt that this is indeed a good opportunity to take revenge on Aqua Senpai. But the question is whether this would be too cautious. Although Aqua Senpai often bullied her, it was true that she was her senior after all. Luo Wei saw that Aris was a little moved and a little hesitant, so he hurriedly said. I know you can't bear to treat Aqua like this, because Aqua is your senior. But you treat her as a senior you respect, but she doesn't treat you as a junior you are proud of. Luo Wei felt like he wanted to seduce a fallen demon and drag the goddess Aris into the abyss bit by bit. If I remember correctly, Aqua seems to have said bad things about you. She seems to be telling people everywhere that Aris's breasts are pads. Ah, shut up quickly. Before Luo Wei finished speaking, the goddess Aris hurriedly covered his mouth to prevent him from continuing. At the same time, Aris's face also brushed and darkened. She didn't expect that Senior Aqua would spread this matter everywhere, and even Luo Wei knew about it. I understand, I'll help you with this matter. The goddess Aris said angrily. Although the goddess Aris is very gentle, she can be willful and naughty occasionally. After Luo Wei's repeated requests, Luo Wei was sent to the place of reincarnation. Luo Wei felt his eyes blurred as he came to an all-white room. There was a small desk and chair set up in the room, and there was a goddess sitting behind the desk. Her beauty is completely different from the cuteness of the idol singers you see on TV. Her beauty is beyond human. The clear aqua blue long hair gives people a light and soft impression. She's probably about the same age as a high school girl. Her perfect body, which is neither too plump nor too deficient, is covered with a lavender loose garment commonly known as a hagoromo. The beautiful girl blinked her aqua blue eyes, which were as clear as her hair color, and stared at Luo Wei. There is no doubt that this goddess is one of the heroines of the wonderful world. Aqua, the goddess of water. Ah, ah, ah. Aqua saw Luo Wei who suddenly appeared here, and started to search for the files on the table, because she didn't see the files belonging to Luo Wei, and she didn't even understand why this person suddenly appeared here. After searching for a while, Aqua still found nothing. After all, Luo Wei did not enter here through formal procedures. Who is that? What's your name? Me. Luo Wei thought 1,000 times and said quickly, Kurosaki Ichigo. He didn't dare to say that his name was Luo Wei, after all, this name would easily reveal his origin. Kurosaki Ichigo. Aqua rummaged around again, but still couldn't find the relevant files. Luo Wei asked tentatively, what are you looking for, where is this place, and who are you? Hearing Luo Wei's question, Aqua quickly said, I am Aqua, the goddess of water. Although it is a pity, you are dead now, Mr. Kurosaki Ichigo. What, I'm dead? Luo Wei looked shocked and started acting with Aqua. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.